Hello, everybody. Happy Friday. Welcome to a Friday night. Welcome to Groundhog Day, Groundhog Evening, Groundhog Day, depending on where you are. We'll talk about Puxatawny Phil's experience in just a bit. Please like and share. Would really appreciate that. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you very much. Thank you. Big T, how are you? Thank you very much. Appreciate that. We are continuing our solidarity with BIPOC creators. And we will have the gift feature turned off this evening as we support CoinCop, the boycott so the story behind this, in case you don't know already, a lot of BIPOC creators, their content gets suppressed on this app. So we're doing a solidarity campaign for other creators who do live stream, like yours truly. We'll turn off gifting until the end of next week. And TikTok, because they do get a portion of revenue from gifting, they may notice. Hopefully, we can make an impression. That's kind of the goal. Hashtag CoinCop. Thank you, Evie. Appreciate that. Hope you're all well. We should talk about a couple of things. So I guess the breaking news of the day is that the United States military has responded with airstrikes in Iraq and Syria. That is in response to the death of 3 service members this past Sunday. The dignified transfer ceremony happened today at Dover Air Force Base in Delaware. The president was on hand along with the First Lady. As we know it to this point, and it's an evolving situation, airstrikes in Iraq and in Syria, B-1 bombers were used, 85 strikes in those various locations. This is a continuing and an escalating situation that will continue and will escalate. This will not be the only day that we do this. There will be more. This is the circumstance. We have to. I think President Biden has released a statement, made it very clear to any of our adversaries that wish to do us harm that they will pay the price, and that's what we saw happen today. It's strategic, it's surgical, but it will continue. We know that the January 6th trial date has been officially moved. It's no longer on the calendar for March. That was expected as we await for the the appellate court to make their decision on immunity, which means that the election interference trial, and I had to remind myself of this too, the situation in New York with Alvin Bragg, it's not about hush money, it's about election interference. That's what this case has been about from the beginning, because the information that was going to be leaked regarding Trump's payment to a porn star to cover up their affair was also, the National Enquirer also suppressed that story. So that's what this case is about, because they did not want the information to become public prior to the election. So that trial looks like it's going to be the first. You'll remember that was the first indictment that was handed down. Trial date, I believe, is set for March 25th. Everything's fluid at this situation. We could see them sort of. I know judges work together to try to create room for various things, but case in point, that trial will start about a week after the likelihood that Trump will get enough delegates during the primary process to secure the nomination. So there's that. Speaking of that case, Alan Weisselberg, who was the former CFO of the Trump organization, has agreed to plead guilty to perjury. He'll be a cooperating witness. It doesn't mean that he'll be flipping necessarily. It's a cooperating witness. So I guess the question then becomes that trial will happen, very likelihood that trial will happen on the date that we targeted. So if he's found guilty, and they estimate that trial to take no more than a month. So if he's found guilty, Republican voters will have a choice to make. Are you going to vote for a convicted felon, pending appeal? But that's the circumstance. And that's why I think it's important that we talk to MAGA tonight, because I really want to pick their brain on that particular topic. And then in regards to Puxatawny Phil. So being Groundhog Day, most of you know, Puxatawny Phil, a groundhog, has been predicting the weather for 130 years, and he's got about a 39% accuracy rate. He did see a shadow, which means an early spring. Now, that doesn't apply for people that are in New England and or northern states, because we never get an early spring, right? Never get an early spring. But I've always said, if I was ever a weather person, I would just, every day, I would say, it's going to be partly sunny. Because by definition, it is partly sunny somewhere. And plus, you'd make people happy. That's right. So that's our topic tonight. Please continue to like and share the live, guys. I'd really appreciate that. Because we have the gift feature turned off this evening. If you would like to support the channel, that's my Cash App. I would really appreciate that. So let's jump in. I don't think we have any guests yet. We don't, but we will, I'm sure, at some point this evening. So MAGA, the question is, now we know that 71% of you who identify as Trump voters believe the words coming out of Trump's mouth. 71%. So, are you just waiting for the next direction? Because from my perspective, you don't have the ability to think for yourself. It just seems to me that you're waiting for the next direction. We know that the border is not a crisis, not even close to a crisis, because if it were, Trump would be demanding something to be done. Instead, he's saying, "No, don't pass this bill, don't pass this legislation. We don't want to do anything. I will fix it." Right. That's what he always says. That's what he always says. Is my gifting on? Thank you for letting me know. I don't think it's on. I don't know if it's on or not. I don't know how to fix that. I will try to figure that out as we go, but I don't think it's on. I believe I turned it off, but I'll apologize if it is. So yeah. So again, MAGA, that's the question for you. What? Okay. How do I fix that? I don't know how to fix that. Is it under this feature right here? Here we go. Got it. It says it's off. It's weird. Very strange. I don't know why that would say that, but it does say that it's off. Anyway, that's strange. Well, we'll see how it goes. We'll jump. Hey, Mark.
Hey, I just wanted to say happy Groundhog Day.
You too,
I
brother.
can who are denying the prognosticator of prognosticators.
39%, man. 39%. That's his accuracy rate. Well, I mean, there's been like 55 Puxatawny Phils because this has been going on for a long time.
Well, he's a groundhog. I mean, sometimes there's shadows, sometimes there's not.
That's true. That is very true. That is very true. That is very true.
Have you
What's
ever
on your
been
mind this evening?
if you well, have you ever been to Pennsylvania too? That that is one very spoiled groundhog for at
Oh my.
least a year.
Oh yeah.
Phil is taken very good care of.
Oh yeah. No doubt about it. Yeah, he's a celebrity. I don't think he gives a shit, quite frankly. I've talked to I've talked to his people, and he just wants to be left alone.
It's just a fun thing. It's a happy thing, but yeah, I don't have a whole lot on my mind, but I just wanted to give you a quote from Stephen Colbert because I thought it was that good. We dumped Donald Trump in 2020, and we are never ever getting back together, like ever.
Well done. That's a good
Thank you
quote.
for having me out, man.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. So it's telling me that the gifting feature is off. I apologize. I still support CoinCot, so I'll make it up for the rest of the week. But thank you for letting me know, guys. It does look like it's off for me, though. Hello, freedom fighter. How are you tonight?
Hey, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing fine, thank you.
Please tell me how there isn't open borders.
So because there isn't.
Oh, okay. But let's talk to the Boston people. Let's talk to New York. Let's talk to Chicago. Let's talk to the people that actually.
Let's slow down. So since you asked me a question, I want to now ask you a question. What's different between today and any day during the Trump administration? So what's changed?
What's changed?
Yeah.
A lot. A
Well,
lot.
be specific. Tell me what's changed.
Most families can't even support their family.
And I'm talking about the borders.
Except the old people that
Hold
have
on,
already
freedom
been
fighter.
rich.
One at a time, bro. Hold
Because
on,
people
bro.
my age, like young men.
Hey, freedom fighter.
Oh, you're shushing me. What a grandpa you are.
The question I asked you was, what's changed between the Biden administration and the Trump administration? Because you said it was an open border. So I would like you to tell me what's different.
Yes, it's 100% open border.
So tell me what's different, though. What's different?
I
So
will.
when
I
you say
will.
open, does that mean that nobody was crossing during the Trump administration?
No, there was crossing. Yes, but
Okay,
we
so then
had.
it was open. So then it was open then too.
Yes, you're right. Yes,
So it was open
but
then
it's
too.
way more now. Way
Oh, it's
more.
way more
Come
open
on,
now. So
you
so what's
you
different?
do know that, right? You're not that dumb.
No, it's not actually.
I know you're not that dumb. You look pretty smart. You're an old man. You look like you might be a grandpa. You might have a kid or
No,
two, but you might.
because I have a
You
beard
might.
that makes me old. Because it makes me a grandpa.
Yeah, you might.
You're just
Bro,
jealous of
you
my
are
beard, aren't you?
definitely old. You are about 50 something years old. I guarantee it.
You think that's old?
No, yes, 100%. Because you
You
only
think?
got half of your life. Your half of the life is gone. What the fuck you
Oh,
mean? You think I'm
yeah,
old?
that's what
Yeah,
happens when you.
it
Hey,
is
so
old.
again, answer my question. So what's different then? What's changed? Tell me what's changed.
What's different? The
Yeah,
whole
I'm
world
asking
has
you.
changed. Look
Tell
at
me
what's
what's
going on.
different. Freedom.
Look at
Let's
what's
try to
going
have
on with the
freedom, bro.
war. Look at.
Would you like to hold on a second? Would you like to have a conversation?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so then I'd like you to tell me what's different. What has changed when it comes to the Biden administration compared to the Trump administration in regards to the border? Tell me what's changed.
Okay, I'll tell you truthfully, I don't believe in
Yeah.
neither one of them. I believe that politics is a bunch of fucking sham, and we're all up here just doing this shit on
Okay.
TikTok for a fucking joke.
Okay, so you don't have an issue with the border then.
Oh, I definitely have an issue.
So then tell me what's changed.
Most Americans don't want to work
How does that have anything to do with the border, bro?
because the border is running over, and they're coming to work for the American people.
What?
Yeah.
Okay,
Cheap
let's have
labor.
a
It's cheap
how about a
labor.
logical how about a cognizant or a
So
coherent
you
train of
want
thought
me to
here.
prove it?
So no, I want you to tell me what's different. I've asked you like 6 times. Tell me what's different. What has changed?
Everything has changed. I don't understand what you're trying to say here.
I'll say it slower for you. I asked you earlier,
It's
what's the difference between the Biden administration and the Trump administration in regards to the border? Tell
one
me
Trump.
what's changed.
Trump made sure that people could not just rush over our border.
How did he do that?
I don't know. Whatever he did, he implicated good fucking word
He
made for our
he
border control.
implicated? He implicated? What does implicated mean?
Oh my god, this motherfucker. Okay, you got it, buddy. All right. All I'm trying to say is the bottom line: the Biden administration is a fucking joke. Anybody that still
Okay,
believes in this
right.
administration is a joke.
So you don't care about America then?
I don't care about America.
No, you don't.
Well, you don't care about our American military that's fighting for
Yes, I
wars
do.
that don't need to be
I
fought.
absolutely. I care about our military a
You
hell of
don't
a lot more
believe in
than you
that
do.
shit.
If you're a Trump supporter, I care about the military a hell of a lot more than you do.
Yeah, okay, you crazy as hell.
Are you a Trump supporter?
I am 100% a conservative.
So you're a Trump supporter then. So and then you
I'm
think you care,
100% conservative. Biden
right? So
is
you're
nothing but a
right.
fucking transgender, fag, weird
Okay.
ass.
Nighty night, boo boo. Good try. Good try. Hey Chris, how are you tonight?
Hey, good afternoon, sir. That was crazy.
That's MAGA. That's MAGA for you.
So I kind of get where he's coming from, and I do get where you're coming from. But I have a question for
Well, hold
you.
on a second. Let's back up a second. So you said you get where he's coming from. Where's he coming from? Help me understand that.
He's. I mean, for instance, like I mean, I've watched food and stuff go crazy expensive, but like, for instance, just
He was talking about the border, though. See, he was talking about the
yeah,
border
yeah.
specifically. So that's the topic right now because he brought that up. So I'm asking you because you said your own words that you get where he's coming from. He was
Well,
talking about the border. So tell me what's different between today and under the Trump administration in regard to border policy. What's
Well,
different?
his problem with the border and it not being secure, as there was no, or there is no border security. There's no
Wait a minute. There's no border security.
there was a lot less border security than there was under Trump. Trump was
That's
building a
absolutely not true, Chris.
Trump. Hold on a second.
No,
Trump
Chris,
was
it's not true. I'm not going to let you come up here and spread lies. That's not
well,
true.
Trump. Hold on a second. If you
No,
look at the
Chris.
first
Sorry.
10,
No, Chris.
can I talk
No,
for a
Chris, because
second,
you're spreading lies.
sir? They were building a wall.
Right, but again,
And
your point was the
10
secure.
days, hold on a
Chris,
second, let me finish my goddamn sentence.
No, Chris, this
Are
is how
you
this works, okay? When you come up to my live, you're not allowed to spread misinformation, okay? Specifically, the claim that you made was we have less border security now than we did under Trump, and that's just flat out not true.
just because you're saying it, not because I can finish my sentence?
No, it's because it's not true, Chris.
Sir, we were building a wall. In the first 10 days in office, he stopped manufacture of the wall and fired everybody in the middle of a pandemic. And you call
Again,
that
that's another
American?
lie, man. It's
And you
another
call
lie.
that American?
It's another lie. It's another
No, it's
lie you're
not.
telling. It's a
Look at.
lie. It's a lie. Doesn't work that way. You don't get to come into my live and tell lies. You don't like it, find somebody else who will support that. I will not platform you. It's a lie. You don't like it, it's not my problem. Good evening, sir. How are you tonight?
I'm great. How you doing? We're gonna try and keep this on a civil level with you here and everything. So everybody else just seems like they're getting out of civil here. So before
Well,
you ask the question, but before
hold
you
on.
ask the question,
No, hang on, hang
I'm a
on.
MAGA supporter.
Hold on. Couple of rules. You make a
Okay.
claim, you got to back it up. So if you
Okay.
make a claim about something, the burden of proof is on you. And
Okay.
if you're asked a question, you can't what about your way out of it. Fair enough?
Okay. That's fine.
Okay.
All right. Now you're talking about the first two guys that are talking about border security and everything like that. I say tomato, you say tomato. Tomato, potato. It don't make no difference. Okay. So let me explain this to you. So I'm going to make this as good as I can. It's because I can prove what them two guys were saying.
Okay. So you're going to back it up with proof.
Yep, sure am.
Cool.
I'm a cross country driver. I own my own truck and everything like that. When Trump was in office and everything, all your border checkpoints that trucks have to go through and cars have to go through are open. Okay, so whenever
We're open. Okay.
yeah, they're open. Okay, you have to go through and you got to claim whether you're a U.S. citizen or not. They check trucks, they check cars, they do all this stuff in these checkpoints. Okay.
That we still do now.
Okay, just listen. Okay, after the Trump administration was over with and everything like that, New Mexico was shut down, California was shut down,
Hold on a second.
Arizona was shut down.
Wait. Remember the deal. You made a claim. You've got to
Yes,
prove it. What's your proof?
I drove through them. They
That's
wasn't.
anecdotal, sir.
They
That's
was not.
sir.
They were not open.
Friend, I'm sorry. That's anecdotal. That doesn't apply here. You made a claim that that New Mexico, Arizona, and California were shut down. So where's your proof of that? How do you back that up?
The check stations were closed.
So again, that's not proof, man.
I have
That's
legal.
not proof.
Just listen. Can I
No, that's
finish
not
here?
proof. No, it's not
Okay,
proof, man. You
I'm
need proof.
giving you the proof right now. If you'll listen.
You driving through a border is not proof. That's not proof. That's anecdotal.
Whenever you have to go through a border check station, just like
Yeah.
if you land in an airport when you come into this country, they have to check your documentation. Okay.
Sure.
Okay. If the check stations are closed and you do not go through them,
then you can't get through if they're closed, sir.
Yes, you can. You drive straight down the interstate.
So once again, your anecdotal experience does not tell me anything. What I need you, because I could say, oh, I was in New Mexico the day after you, and those checkpoints were there. People were staffing them. So
I'll tell you.
Wait. So who's to say who's right in that circumstance? That's why evidence. Why evidence and proof is so important, sir.
I've got the evidence and proof for you.
What is it?
On the days that I went through there, I have federally backed DOT documents of my logbooks.
Okay, cool. Then show it to me.
I can pull my logbooks off and email them to you. Got an email address?
Yeah, I'm going to give you my email address publicly. Sure. No, the point, sir. Listen, hold on a second, okay? The reason that we have these conversations and the reason it's so important is because you've got to be able to back up your claim. An anecdotal experience is not factual. It's only your individual experience. Now, I'm not going to say that what you experienced didn't happen, but the reality of the circumstance is that you don't have the data to back up what you're saying. Okay?
I will.
That's the point.
You're running a live here. How many people you got in this live?
765.
All right, out of the 765, I'm just going to ask how many drivers do I have out there right now that's ran down I-10 and I-20 and witnessed theirself that the checkpoints were closed?
That's not a source, sir. That's anecdotal. That's an experience. Anybody can say that. So I want you to think about this way. I don't know your name. I'm going to say your name is Brian. I saw Brian rob a grocery store yesterday.
Mm-hmm.
There's my proof. I saw you do it.
By what proof?
That's the proof. I saw you do it.
Oh, well, there's cameras in grocery stores.
Yeah, exactly. The cameras weren't off. They didn't have the cameras on that day.
Well, my
I saw you.
cameras were.
Yeah, so my cameras were
My my
off. But I
my
saw you.
my my,
But I saw you do it.
my cameras on my truck were on. You
Great.
want to go
It
that?
doesn't. It
Yeah, it
doesn't
does.
matter, man. No, do you see how silly that sounds, though? That's the point of this conversation, man. Listen, you can't whenever you have a conversation about something, facts are extremely important. So I'm not going to tell you your experience didn't happen, but there's always going to be circumstances regarding that situation that you went through. You don't have the evidence to say that these border crossings were closed. Okay, that's the point, right? That's the point. Now, again, I asked you what's different between now from a policy perspective. We're doing more apprehensions now. Do you know that the gotaways under the Biden administration have dropped by 20% compared to Trump? Do you understand that we're deporting more people now than ever? Are you aware of that?
Yeah, I'm aware of everything that they say.
But that's the reality. That's the CBP. It's the same data that provides it under the
But
Trump administration.
but but
So
but but
why is
but
it?
who,
Hold on.
who
Wait,
says
wait,
it?
wait, wait.
Wait just a minute. Do you
No,
have
hold
proof
on.
of that? Do you have proof
Yeah,
of that?
go to the CBP
I'm
website. Check it
asking
out for
you, do
yourself.
you have, did you
Yeah,
see it? But
I did.
you're listening to
I
somebody else that's saying it.
no, I went
You
to the
never
C.
saw it with your own eyes.
I went to the CBP website because they report on the data.
Hmm.
That's what data does.
Okay.
Okay,
I get, I get,
that's what data does.
do you not think that they don't manipulate the data?
So let me ask you a question. So if the data supported your narrative, would it be manipulated?
All data, it don't matter if it supports mine or yours, all data
Gotcha.
is manipulated.
So then, what do you believe then?
What do I believe?
Yeah.
I believe this country is in a far worse
No.
shape than
What do
what it
you
was.
believe? If you don't believe the data, then what do you believe?
There's not really anything to believe because the data's been so manipulated and so far out right now
So
that
the data under the Trump administration is the same data that the Biden administration uses. It was okay then, but it's not okay now.
no, he was in there trying to correct everything that was going on and
You
everything
didn't
like
you didn't
that.
hear what I said. Wait.
I heard what
Okay,
you
so
said and
explain
listen
that.
to what I'm
So
saying.
no,
Uh,
explain that. Hold on a
I
second.
said the
Wait,
same
bro.
day.
Hold on a second. The
Oh, you
data
don't want
under
to.
the no, listen.
No, the
The
data was
data
not
under
right.
the oh, the data wasn't right. Right. So
No,
the data under the Trump administration was wrong too.
all the data is wrong. Do you not hear
Oh,
what I'm saying?
so what do you believe
It's
then?
all been manipulated.
So
We
what do you
have been
believe then?
manipulated.
What do you believe?
Where do you get your information from? Because if
I'm
it's from
asking you,
mainstream
what do
media,
you believe?
what do I believe? I believe
Yeah.
stuff that I see with my own eyes.
Right. So that you can't back up with information. So it's a trust me bro kind of thing.
Yes, that's what we're all supposed to do, right?
No, we're supposed to research it and make critical decisions
That's
based on the data
exactly
that
right. And that's what I tell everybody to do. Research it. Don't take my word for it. Research it.
I don't take your word for it.
That's right. Like
And
I
it's a
don't
good
take your
thing.
word for it.
Well, you don't
Like
have to. You can literally just go to the the CBP's website and they can tell you exactly what's there.
I
Okay?
understand what you're saying,
But
but the
why won't you
data
do that?
has been manipulated.
Oh, so we can't believe anything then is what you're saying.
Exactly. You're exactly right. You just hit the nail on the head.
That's why you're in a cult. No breaks. How are you tonight?
Pretty good, buddy. How about yourself?
I'm doing fine. Thanks for asking. What's on your mind?
I just wanted to, one thing I was going to come up and say was good program. I like your program and stuff. I
Thank
watch.
you.
I don't know if you ever see me down in the box or not, but
Appreciate
I
that.
watch your stuff and I agree with probably 90% of what you talk about. The other 10%, I don't know what the hell you're talking about.
Okay.
It's
Like
because
for
I'm not
example.
smart enough.
Like
but
for example.
but now I would say this. This dude that was talking just a second ago before me. I'm an old truck driver. I've been driving for 15, 20 years. And I've been up to Canada. When I come back through the border, I went in fine. You show them your driver's license. They pass you on through. You show them your log books and all that good stuff. They send you
Yep.
through. When you come back across the border, you got to stop. For some reason I had to pay $5 to get back across the border
Coming
into
across from
get
Canada?
from Canada into the United States. I had to pay $5 to for some reason I don't remember what the tax was or something. It was something I had to
What?
pay $5 for. I
Yeah,
don't remember.
I cross the Canadian border all the time, and I've never had to pay anything, so I don't know what happened there.
Well, in a big truck, it might be different in a semi. You know what I mean? Because
Okay,
the only thing I bought there was a map, so maybe
okay.
I had to pay for a map or something. I don't remember.
Maybe you had to pay for something instead of being
Right, right.
charged for something. Okay,
Right. That's what I'm
okay,
saying. So I only
okay,
had to pay. I had to pay like $5 to get back in. You know what I
okay,
mean? But that's all they
okay.
was. You know what I
All
mean?
right, all right.
Showed my driver's license to come across. But he's saying that I-10 has uh, checkpoints. As far as I know, there's no. I've drove it. I've never seen a checkpoint on I-10. You know what I mean?
Right.
And
That's kind of my point.
the only thing I have seen, and he says it's closed, is weigh stations. And that is when a semi pulls in, they're going to check your weight, they may pull you around and check your truck, make sure it's safe to be on the road. They don't have nothing to do with immigration.
I know.
So I don't know what he was talking about his,
Well,
weigh station. Like
yeah.
I said, I've never been to Mexico. I stayed out of there because I couldn't speak the language, so I stayed away from it.
You should go to Mexico. It's a great country. The people are incredible. Some of the nicest people I've ever met.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have nothing wrong with them. I just said I've never been there, and I didn't want to get down in there and get lost, and I mean, couldn't speak the language, So
That's
I
okay.
I stayed out of there. But like I said, they this stuff about them truck drivers seeing a bunch of this stuff. It's what it is. It's just truck driver bullshit talk over the CB. That's all that is.
Yeah,
And basically, that's
I would
about it.
agree. I would
I
agree.
was, nothing fancy or anything. I just wanted to get up and say, producer, you're doing a good job,
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Be
and
safe out there, man. Be
I
safe out
just
there.
wanted to say that I don't know what this guy was talking about. You know what I mean? Because I've never seen no way stations, nothing, nothing like that. Not way stations, but border stations and stuff like that on I-10. And like I said, I drove it. I've been up and down it, so
Yeah,
it's nothing. There, and I-10's on, not a border road.
I know it's
You know,
inland.
it's in the United States.
That was my
You
next
know,
point. It's inland. Yeah, exactly.
they may get you like coming out of Florida, going in another state. They may have you stop in so that they can check your fruit. Yeah, I mean that kind of stuff. But those are check-in stations for agricultural
Right.
and for the weigh stations to see if you're overweight and if your equipment's running. So I think either he's never drove a truck or he don't know what the hell he's talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
everybody's experiences are their own, but an individual experience doesn't tell us the entire story. That was kind of my point with him.
right.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I'm saying too. And you're right about that. I got a brother that says this and this and this is wrong. He's in the MAGA stuff, and
Mm.
like I tell him, I said, man, who are you going to believe? You know what I mean? If you don't believe the government, you can't believe nothing the government says. You can't believe nothing that the preacher says. You can't believe nothing this guy says. You can't believe nothing this guy says. Who are you going to believe?
They believe what Donald Trump says, and that's it.
Right. And then the orange carrot says something. Men are on Mars, and they start worshiping the Mars. I just
Oh, I know.
it blows my mind when you listen to some of these idiots. So
I know,
I'll let
brother.
you
I
go,
appreciate
brother.
that. Thank you, man. I appreciate you jumping in
Yep.
tonight. Be safe. Be safe out there.
Yep. You too, man.
Thanks, bud. Be well. Yeah, I mean, again, look. The reason that we have these conversations is to hopefully inform people that there's so much misinformation out there. Anecdotal experience you can use as an analogy, sure, but it's not the real story, right? It's not the real story. And I do find it interesting, though, that our previous guest, not the last one was on, when I asked him, I said, what do you believe? And he doesn't believe anything, right? So you only believe the narrative that's in your head. We talked about this last night in our live about media literacy and the ability to navigate through things, critical thinking, and what's required to do that. If you don't believe anything, and what I think is that he's not willing to admit that the data doesn't look good because Joe Biden is doing an exponentially better job at the border than the Trump administration did. And it's not deniable. All the data tells us that. All the data. And if you don't want to believe the data, I don't care. That's not my problem. That's a you problem. That's not a me problem. CK, how are you tonight?
I'm good, Fax. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well. What's on your mind?
Yeah, no, that one guy, the guy before this guy, I'm not the one.
Yeah,
I think that's his name. I've seen him in other lives,
me too.
and he does every single time. He does the exact same thing. He makes claims, and as soon as he gets called out, he starts with the conspiracies. Well, the data is manipulated, and
Yep.
I'm cooking here for the kids, and I'm screaming at the phone, facts. Ask him what proof does he have that the data is manipulated. I was I was screaming at you, but
I
obviously
think I kind of
you
heard
didn't.
you subliminally.
Yeah, right. I was like, ask him where's the proof of that, and but yeah, that's what I've seen him a million times before, and that's all he does. That's all he does,
Yeah, and
and
that's the dangerous stuff. That's those. I mean, again, it's serious because it's dangerous. So if you don't believe, if you only believe, look, we know that MAGA only believes what comes out of Trump's mouth, right? We know
right,
that. That's what
and
they
yeah,
believe. So whatever he tells them, they're going to believe. So if he tells them there's this emergency, then they're going to believe it. If he tells them, or the echo chamber that is Fox or whatever else tells them that the I-10 border crossing is closed. I-10 doesn't even have a border crossing because it runs east-west. I wasn't going to tell them that I knew that because I've been out there. I've ridden my motorcycle on it. That's the point. And to your point, if you're not going to believe the data, what are you going to believe? And then prove to me that the data's been manipulated.
well, there's always that trust me, bro, like you said.
Oh yeah, yeah. Trust me,
So
bro.
yeah,
Exactly.
that's what I wanted to say. I don't want to take up too much of your time. I gotta feed the kids here in a minute. So
What's for dinner?
uh, I got cherry balsamic meatballs,
Oh damn,
and
dude.
yeah, and I got some mashed potatoes and some green beans.
I'm coming over. Thank you, brother. I appreciate you, bud.
Hey,
Thanks a
thank
lot.
you. I watch you all the time. I
Thank you,
appreciate
man. I
all you do.
appreciate you. Thanks a lot, buddy. Have a good night. Be well.
Yeah, you too.
He brings up such a good point, right? I mean, that's the entire conversation. That's exactly why we have these conversations, right? It's like if you don't believe anything, right? What do you believe? An anecdotal experience is not evidence of anything. It is your individual experience. The example I gave him, I saw you rob a bank. That's my proof. That's all proof that I need. Well, I didn't rob the bank. Well, I saw you do it, so you did it. I mean, do people understand how silly that sounds? Please continue to like and share, you guys. I really appreciate that. Thank you all very, very much. Hey,
Hey, what's
Steve,
up,
how are you?
Fax?
How are you tonight, brother?
Oh, not too bad. Can you just go through your critical thinking process, like
Mine?
like how you use critical thinking to come up with the truth?
Well, okay. It's you don't always get the truth. You get evidence, right? So the way I
Hmm.
do it is I don't I'm not a headline guy. I will explore beyond that. I will confirm through multiple sources if the data that I'm looking at is accurate, and I wouldn't talk about it unless I did.
Hmm.
It,
Now,
it, it's a skill. You have to acquire that. You have to learn
mhm,
how to be a critical thinker to analyze the information that's presented to you and
excellent.
understand it. It's about comprehension. How about you? What's your process?
My process, well, I mean, it's to know that everyone has their own personal biases, and you
Sure.
have to find fault in your own beliefs to actually critically think about a subject.
Yeah, you've got to be willing to accept the fact that your narrative might be wrong.
No, 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 not even that. You have to
No, yeah, that's true
purposely
too.
find fault in it.
Not always. I mean, again, you just have to be willing to accept the fact when you're wrong.
Mm, I feel like your sense of critical thinking is not 100%. Like I feel like you're failing to actually
Mine?
critically think about any of the facts that you
How do you know?
come
So
up
tell
with.
so tell me a fact that I've shared with you that's not factual.
No, I'm talking about your critical thinking skill.
I'm asking you. So you just told me that my critical thinking is wrong. I'm trying.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm
I
asking you to
don't
tell me.
think you
Hold on, wait, hold
question.
on. I'm asking you to tell me why, because there must be an example. So when I share information, that's through
Well, I mean,
my
it's
critical.
basically
Let me
everything.
finish
Like
my
all you
sentence. Let me
do is
finish my sentence.
narrative.
Hold on. Let me
All you
finish,
do is narrative.
bro. Let me finish my
You parrot.
sentence. I don't parrot. You
You
parrot.
parrot.
No, you parrot, bro.
Who am I parroting about critical thinking skills?
You're criticizing my critical thinking skills without giving me
Excuse me, who am I parroting? Can you
hold,
please give
hold,
me an example of who I'm parroting?
who am I
What
parroting?
source am I parroting about critical thinking
Who am
skills?
I parroting?
You're parroting CNN, like you just talked
I don't
about
watch CNN.
the MSNBC. You have
I don't
all
watch it. I
of
don't
the
watch
talking
MSNBC.
points. I've seen your lives. All you do is talking points from them.
Like, so give me an example then. Give me an example. Tell me something that I've said that's wrong.
I'm not here to tell you what's wrong. I'm telling you that
Do you
your
see how
ability,
disingenuous
what
your
I'm
argument
telling
is then?
you, what
No,
I'm
you just
telling you is
Steve,
your
stop.
ability to use critical thinking is
No, bro.
failing you.
No, your ability to not identify what I've said that's wrong, that's triggered you so much. Just tell me what I've said that you think is wrong, that I've not done critical thinking on. Go ahead.
I'm telling you that your critical thinking skill
You've
is
said that like six
fault.
times, so who's parroting? You are literally parroting yourself now. So tell me what I've said that you think that I'm just parroting that's wrong.
Well, I mean that's the thing about critical thinking. There is no facts. There is no truth, like you said.
What? There's no facts when you critically
Well,
think?
when I asked you how you get to the truth, what did you say?
No, I told
I
you
asked you how do you use your critical thinking to get to the truth, and
I
what did you say?
research, I identify
That's not what you
gaps, I
said.
look. That is exactly what I said.
That's not what
I
you
look at
said. You
multiple
said you don't always
sources.
get the truth.
You can't always get the truth. You have to
There you
identify
go.
because
See,
Steve,
now we're using critical thinking.
let me give you an analysis of that. So if somebody tells me something that is to be true, critically thinking then would not necessarily confirm that it was true. It might confirm that it was a lie. So it's not. It depends on what you're trying to analyze.
Mhm.
Again, I'm asking you.
Okay,
Tell
well,
me.
here,
Stop talking for a second.
EJ
I'm
Carroll.
asking you to tell me. I'm
EJ
asking
Carroll.
you to. What about E.G. Carroll?
What are your thoughts on it? I'll see if you
You brought it
have
up. You
proper
tell me.
critical thinking skills. No, I
You
mean, I asked you.
uh, no. You
You
brought it
want me
up.
to see if you're using your critical thinking skills correctly? I'm asking you
This
your
isn't a game,
critical
Steve.
thinking
What is
skill.
your opinion on E.G.
Use
Carroll
your
since you
critical
brought it up,
thinking and
bro?
tell me
Steve.
about EJ Carroll.
Steve. You brought up E. Carroll. The burden of proof is now on you. What would you like to say about E.
I'm not
Carroll?
trying to prove anything about her.
But you obviously are. You're questioning my ability to critically think. I'm
You're the
asking
one
you.
hosting a show that is
That's
trying
right.
to pass off information as fact.
What information have I shared
Facts
about
still
E.G.?
matter? Is that not your name?
What information have I shared about
So what are the
E.G. Carroll?
facts? What are the facts?
What are the facts? Are that a jury found Donald Trump liable for sexually abuse and defamation? Those are the facts.
Hmm. That's the facts.
Those are the facts. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So next,
So when Donald Trump, what did she win the what $83 million for?
88 total, but yeah,
88 total.
Def-
What did she get that for?
defamation,
De- for
defaming. She was defamed by Donald Trump. That's what
so
defamation
because he
is.
said he didn't rape her.
Grape, please.
Okay, because
No,
he
he
didn't
defamed
rape her.
her. He grape.
Mhm. Yeah, by saying that he didn't do that.
No, he defamed her. He called her a pig. He called her a liar. He caused her damage in her professional career. All kinds of things. Why? So in
So
your wait,
was he proven guilty
hold
for
on.
grape?
He was found liable under the law for sexual abuse and defamation.
So
Yes.
can you use your critical thinking skills to
So the
ask
question,
yourself why they would
I'm
change
going to
the
ask
law?
you. They didn't change the
Why they
law.
would change the law? Or I'm sorry,
2,500 people, by the way, when the timing was changed, a lot of it had to do with COVID because of court dockets were backed
uh,
up because of COVID.
uh, okay.
2,500 people. You think it was just changed for her? You're not doing a lot of critical thinking if that's what you think. You're doing none, in fact.
Who who um who was at the top of the lawsuit to get the law changed?
Who was?
Who was?
I'm asking you. You made the claim.
Was
I don't
EJ
know
Carroll
who
there?
was.
Was she there with
Was
her
she
lawyers?
was she part of the 2,500? Yes, she
Hmm.
was. Absolutely.
And you're telling me that there wasn't any like funding or no one was paying it for some kind of interest, personal interest of their own,
What?
maybe.
Personal
Like,
interest
yeah.
of their own?
So critical thinking skills, like like where the funding for all
So
these
Steve,
lawsuits came from.
you have no
So
critical
you
thinking
can't what
skills.
you can't use your critical thinking skills. What you're saying,
You have no critical
you
thinking
cannot
skills.
find fault in what she did.
You have no critical thinking skills. None. The entire case regarding E. Jean Carroll was about defamation. And then when asked where the defamation came from, that's when the sexual abuse was introduced. The entire case was about defamation. You didn't know that,
All
did
right.
you? Because
Well,
you know why?
right there, I mean,
Because you don't.
it just
Because
goes
you
to
don't
prove
have.
that you
Because you
absolutely
don't
have
have
zero critical thinking skill.
No, Steve. I guarantee
It
you, I
proves
have.
that you cannot
No, no. You know what this proves,
critically
Steve?
think
You know
about
what?
anything. So
No,
just
no,
on that
Steve.
alone, everything you
What this?
say is
What
basically
this?
just
What this?
nonsense narrative.
Because you haven't given me. So, what's your opinion on E. Jean Carroll? I've answered my perspective. I've answered, but you haven't. So, why don't you tell me what your opinion on E. Jean Carroll is? Show us your awesome critical thinking skills.
I think she has about as much credibility as Tara Reid.
Of course you do. That's why you're in a cult. That's why you're in a cult, Steve. That's exactly why. And I don't have critical thinking skills. That's interesting. Hey, James, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind this evening?
Let's talk about Biden.
Okay, what do you want to talk about?
What's his deal with sniffing little girls' hair and stuff?
Oh, dude, give me a break, okay? That's just stupid. Jesus Christ. Unbelievable. The delude. Here you go. Here's the cult. Let me tell you what you think. Oh, my God. Hey, Paulie, how are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
None. I just hear you keep talking about critical thinking, and with this whole E. Jean Carroll thing.
I didn't bring it up. Our previous guest did. I didn't bring up critical
Yes,
thinking. He did.
but my question to you is this: in New
Okay.
York, I live in New York. I'm
Okay.
from Queens.
I had a feeling you might have lived in New York.
One of the most liberal bastions of society that there is, especially in New York City.
Yep.
A trial was brought up. A defamation trial was brought up
Right.
with no evidence whatsoever. She couldn't recount the day, the year.
There was evidence.
No, there was no evidence. There was no
Yes, there
evidence.
was.
I'm a court officer of New
Paulie,
York State.
there was evidence, man. I don't
There
care
was
what you
no
do for work.
evidence.
Yes, there was evidence. There was
She couldn't remember the
testimony.
year.
That's
She couldn't
evidence.
remember
Paulie, stop talking. There was evidence.
No.
Her,
When you get
you're
raped,
Paulie.
I'm in law
Paulie,
enforcement. When you get
I don't
raped, you
give a
remember
shit.
exactly the fucking date and time you were fucking raped.
God damn, dude. Why don't you? Don't use that word, okay? Don't use that word.
Why? Why? It's a free country.
Because it's TikTok, man. Want to have a conversation or no?
It's freedom of speech.
Do you? I don't. It's not my rule. It's fucking TikTok's. Okay.
All right. You just said it. So
I didn't say it at all. You said it.
You just said the F word. But regardless, the thing is, there was no evidence presented.
Yes, there was, Paulie.
Really?
Yes,
Where was the DNA? Where was the DNA?
I'll answer that question.
Where was the DNA?
Let me answer the question.
Go ahead.
Stop.
Go ahead.
She had a dress that had DNA. Let me finish. Stop interrupting me or I'll kick you. She had a dress that had DNA on it. Donald Trump could have submitted his DNA to prove his innocence. Why didn't he, Paulie?
Now, here, I'm going to give you that answer. The dress in question was made after.
Wrong.
The year was made
Wrong. Wrong.
She was raped.
It's
Allegedly
wrong.
raped.
Wrong.
Yes, it was. That's an actual fact. You can do all the critical thinking you want.
Prove it.
Look it up. It's an actual fact.
Prove it.
That's one. Number two, you can't.
No, Paulie, prove it. Paulie.
The time, the month.
Bro, you have got to calm down. This is another signal that you're MAGA because you don't have impulse control. That has been disproven time and time and time and time and time again. The question I have for you is that there was DNA. If you want to call E. Jean Carroll a liar, all Donald Trump had to do was submit to DNA, and he refused to do it. Why is that, Paulie? Tell me why. Answer that question for me. Why didn't he subject himself to a DNA test to prove his innocence? Why is that?
Trump's case, Trump was guilty until proven innocent.
Why didn't he submit to a DNA test, Paulie?
What? Because he doesn't have to. Because the date in question,
he
wasn't there. He doesn't know her. He doesn't know her. Just because he was in a picture with her, he doesn't know her. Because he was in a picture with her, he thought it was
unfucking believable. Yeah, he thought it was his wife. Oh my, dude, that was not the take that I think you thought it was going to be. Holy shit. Wow.
My God, I just need to tell you congratulations I am proud I live in United States. I still learn English, but guys like you is valuable because it's person who believe in his country, who believe the country got an institution. How you can understand American citizen who don't believe in any of his own institution? You don't believe in the health department.
I
You
don't.
don't believe in official. No, no, the person who you talk to you. No, you believe it.
Okay.
And I'm proud because you got the fighting about hear these people, the patient, to understand these people live in the cold, complete loss. And I got the microphone for Rush Limbaugh to try
Good.
to fix it, all the mess Rush Limbaugh doing in this country for
It's true.
35 years. Is the
It's true.
mess what he doing. That's I telling you, I am proud to hear you. I improve my English every day. I
Good.
come into this country. I come into this country almost 24 years ago, and I don't have no documents. Now I have it, and I got a two kids graduate university in this country. I love this country, and I'm proud we got a people like you to
Thank you,
tell
man.
to the people is important. Read is important. You got information in the right place. Thank you very much, and
Thank
I
you, brother.
follow you, and I
Thank you.
improve my English every day.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate you. Thank you very much. Appreciate you. Have a good night. Thank you very much. That's cool. Look, MAGA, it's not my problem that you don't believe the truth. That's not my problem. That's a you thing, right? You can question me all you want, but all I'm asking you to do is prove me wrong. I've asked multiple guests now to provide evidence. That whole story about the dress has been debunked time and time again. Now, do you notice that our legal expert, when I asked him the question, why didn't Trump submit to a DNA test? And he said he didn't have to. Okay, that's true. Can't be forced to in a civil case, but it would have proven his innocence. So why didn't he do it? So once again, victim blame. Blame everything that comes out of the mouth of the orange guy, the same guy that said he could grab women by the genitals. Because if you're a celebrity, they let you do it. That guy. That's that guy. Because he knew he did it. That's exactly right. Because he knew he did it. That's exactly right. It's exactly right. Exactly right. Sunshine, how are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I actually, I really just wanted to bring up a couple points with your previous guest. Not the last guy; he's amazing. I've scrolled through here and I see your lives, and I think that you're amazing.
Thank you.
And I am so anti-Trump orange Jesus, it's disgusting. His whole everything goes against morality and human rights and values and all of the things that it doesn't matter what religion you're tied to, you learn as a child. He literally goes completely against. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's it.
I appreciate that. Thank
I
you, Sunshine.
appreciate you.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you very much. You have a good night. Thanks a lot.
You too.
All right, bye. Very nice. Thank you. Thank you for that. Good evening, Andrew. How are you tonight?
I'm good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I just want to. I got into a conservative live yesterday, and I reminded them that in these cases, they there's a reason that Alina Habba doesn't come walking out of the courtroom and start railing against the jurors, because I'm seeing that MAGA and people who are with this E. Jean Carroll case, they don't understand how the jury is picked. They don't understand that Alina Habba and Kaplan question the jurors, and they have
Correct.
veto power over which jurors are doing this.
Correct.
So let's not forget that there's a jury involved, and the prosecutor and the defense have veto power on the individual jurors. They don't like to be reminded of that. So that New York guy, it would have been nice to hear his kind of response to that. Like, why do you think that the Trump lawyers aren't coming out and talking shit about the jurors? You know?
Yeah, well, that would require some critical thinking on his part, and that train left a long time ago.
Well, Yeah, unfortunately, that's a good percentage of them. But I just like to remind people of that, and I hope you have a great day.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you, Andrew.
Later.
Have a good night. Be well.
You too.
Yeah, that's a really good point, right? Both sides in a case have veto power over certain jurors. It's not unlimited, but you can pick and choose. And that's where the act was correct. That's where the sexual assault was committed in New York, which is where Trump lives. That's where he's from. So a jury of your peers, that's where he's from. What would that look like? And again, found responsible under the law. And MAGA, so you victim blame too. That's another pattern that we see from our friends on the right, that victim blaming. It's pretty disturbing. It's pretty disturbing, actually. It's quite disturbing, as a matter of fact. But that's just how it goes. Hey, Paul, you're back.
So I'm back.
Yep. Good night. Hi, Jen.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm great. Thank you so much for doing this. Can you hear me okay?
I can. Got you loud and clear. What's on your
Yeah.
mind?
So, one of the things that I wanted to just bring to MAGA people's attention is the slogan, Make America Great Again. I
Mm,
think that if people knew exactly where that came from and the history behind that, because Donald Trump sure did not come up with that. It was
nope.
said before by Ronald Reagan, and
Yep.
before that, guess who said that? The little
Yeah. I mean,
mustache man,
well,
right?
he didn't say it. He said it, and he didn't say "Make America Great Again." He said it in a
No, he
different way.
said, yes, made
Yeah.
Germany great again. And prior to
Yeah.
that, in 1927, there was someone else that said that, and that
Yeah,
would
the
be
irony, well, the irony about
Mussolini.
that, well, yeah, again, the irony about that statement, that's not entirely true. I want to be careful. It's a variation of that. So I just want to be careful because I think it's important that we have information shared that's completely accurate. I know what you're saying. It's a variation. The question, though, becomes when you ask that question, when was America great for everybody? And that's when MAGA's heads just explode. Like, when was it great for women? When was it great for the poor? When was it great for the BIPOC community? When was it great for the LGBTQIA community? Things like that.
Yeah,
It's always been great for white men.
right.
That's about it. That's about it.
Yeah, I just feel like a lot of his rhetoric is rooted in a lot of hate, and
Oh yeah.
especially when he said people are poisoning the blood of our country, which
Oh
is
yeah.
directly quoted from you
The
know
mustache
who.
man. The mustache
Yeah,
man.
the
Correct.
mustache
Yep.
man. And
Yep.
then
That's
when
exactly right.
asked about it, he said, "Oh, I didn't know. I didn't know that it was connected to that." Huh.
Well, there's
Probably
also
should have
been
done your
there's
research.
that's right. There's been reporting, and again, this is just reporting that he apparently had a copy of Mein Kampf in his dresser on his that family members have seen that before. So I think it's another one of those lies, right? Um,
Yeah.
That's the reality of it. That's exactly who they are. That's why when we talk about Agenda 47, which there's videos on Trump's website, he can tell you exactly what he's going to do. He wants to round up houseless people and put them in internment camps. Sound familiar? That we've seen things like
Yeah.
that in our history before. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what we when we talk about those kinds of things. That's the kind of person that he is. They want to unify the power of the executive branch to give the executive power over the FCC, which is the Federal Communications Commission, the Federal Elections Commission, and the Federal Trade Commission. That's what they want. That's who they are. And that's why MAGA will only believe the words that comes out of Trump's mouth because he'll say that that's a good thing. That's how we solve the problems in our country. And I'll remind you, MAGA, that a lot of the houseless people that he wants to round up are veterans. So there you go.
Yeah. And I also wanted to just point on one thing and then I'll get off, is that one of your guests previously said if you're graped, then you know exactly what day and what time and so forth, which I'm a nurse. That is psychologically been disproven. That is incorrect.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of women or even men that have been assaulted, they repress a lot of that stuff because it's too painful to think about. And
Mm-hmm.
that is a proven psychological fact.
Yeah, I mean, and again, we see this a lot, and thank you for what you do. We see this a lot about the denial from a lot of people who support Trump and the victim blaming. We see it all the time.
Yep. Thank you so
All the
much for
time.
everything.
Thank you, Jen. Appreciate you. Have a good
Okay.
night.
All right. Bye.
All right, bye. Yeah, it's a great perspective, and I love those conversations. I think it's necessary. Polly, haven't you been dog walked enough, bro? You're not coming back up because you're just delusional, and I'm not going to waste my time and bore everybody else with your ridiculous arguments. Beer 30. How are you tonight?
Good. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
I find it amazing that these MAGA people, they feel like Trump can't do anything wrong. It's like everybody has skeletons in their closet, even Donald Trump. So
Hmm?
it's just like, how come they cannot hold him accountable? Like, they're like, oh well, he hasn't been convicted. Well, he was found liable. I mean, I ask him, like, what if that was your mother, your sister, your daughter? Would it be
They don't
different?
care.
Would you still
They
vote
don't
for him?
care. They don't care.
Oh my God.
They generally don't care. I mean, I asked the same question too, right? And there's always a defense. That's again when I don't use the term cult loosely. That's exactly what you see in cult behavior. I've read a lot about cults, and the patterns are very similar. There is a leader. There's a fealty to that leader. That no matter what that leader says, it's the truth. It is a tenet of fascism that you put the power to the one in this case. It's whether it be a religious cult and or a cult of personality, which is exactly what MAGA is. They show us every single day, Beer 30. They show us every single day.
Yep. I mean, yeah. I don't know. I know that, even when Trump is, gone, whenever that happens, I know it's going to take a while for the country to heal from this cult that has attacked our country,
Yeah,
literally.
yeah,
So
I would agree.
I have high hopes, but we'll see.
Got to stay involved. Got to keep talking. Got to keep telling the truth. That's the key. And then calling them out because sunlight ultimately is the best disinfectant.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate it, Fax. Thanks so much for what you do, man. Keep up the good fight.
Thank you, brother. Appreciate you. Have a good night.
You too. Thanks.
All right, be well. Yeah, I mean, look, guys, I don't. I've said it a million times. I can't help with your deprogramming, MAGA. If you're willing to have a conversation, like we had our Pauly earlier. Pauly is not redeemable because Pauly has a narrative that's in his head that doesn't matter. He's convinced himself that there's conspiracies behind everything. The whole drefts thing has been debunked so many times that Pauly doesn't care because that's the narrative that he's had in his head. Similarly with the border. The border is not it's not an invasion. It's not an invasion. 3.6 million people last year. 1% of our population. 1%. More people die every year than that. 1%. It's not an issue. If it were, why would Donald Trump be telling House Republicans and Senate Republicans not to do anything? Why? If they were serious about it, they would have done something by now. It's just more noise. It's more noise. It's just crazy that you allow yourselves to believe it. How much longer are you guys going to continue to fall into that pit of nonsense? Because it's just there every single day. It's crazy. But we see it all the time. That's why we're calling it out. Javier, how are you tonight? Javier?
Oh, okay. Oh,
Hello?
yeah. Good
Hello?
afternoon.
How are you?
How are you?
I'm fine. How are
Good.
you?
I'm fine, thank you. My name is Xavier Kavanaugh. I live in Washington, D.C.
Hi, Xavier.
I'm a hi. I'm a senior executive in the DSCC in the United States Senate. I got to listen to a lot of what you were telling people. You're correct. Now, during my time on Capitol Hill, on both sides of the Capitol, I got to advise senators and House members. I got to advise two moderate Republicans back in the 90s. One, I'm still close friends with, go to her reunions all the time. She's now known as Ambassador Connie Morella from Bethesda, Maryland. But long story short, now this problem with the megas, my response to Liz Cheney, and some other Republicans that I do know is that, see, when Trump ran for office, he asked the Democrats, could he run under the Democratic banner? We said no.
Nope.
Now, that's when he wanted to run. That's when he asked the Republicans, "Can you run under their flag?" And they told him, Lindsey Graham, you look at this on YouTube and everything. They said, "You're not a true conservative. You're not this and that." But Donald Trump said this: "I can bring out the closet, the hidden racism, the ones that's in the closet." We saw that during the 9/11 riot
Oh yeah.
when yeah, when people in the military, police chiefs, business owners, all that, everybody else came out the closet and just did that dirty work. But long story short, I don't know how we're going to get rid of that problem, because they're going to always be within that type of mindset. See, no kid is born with racism in their heart. Every kid is born with love and happiness, and they're programmed to be that. When Jim Jordan said this during the COVID thing, when you see a kid wearing a mask, call CPS. I said, Jim Jordan, you're nuts. When we see a kid that's been deprogrammed from being loved among other kids, and turn into a white supremacist American terrorist, that's when we should call CPS, because they weren't born that way. I got to reply to a lot of Ashley Babbitt comments, Ashley, whatever her name is, saying, well, we should hold the policemen accountable. No, we should not. Hold her parents accountable and the teachers. She wasn't born a racist. She was programmed to be that way. So I told her, hold her mother accountable for sending her to the Capitol. Hold Donald Trump for that. Now, we within the DNC, and my name is on it, I signed this with Democratic senators, that the 14th Amendment applies to Trump and House and Senate members of Congress. We're seeing all this stuff coming it's going to start to be fruition now in the courts. Now, when that guy talking about some Gene Carroll, this and that, well, why are we suing Donald Trump? Why are we doing this? It has nothing to do with politics. That man's been breaking laws every day for the last over 3 or 4 decades. Way back when he didn't want to rent his dwellings to people of color. He's a racist. Now, it's like you said, it's a cult. Because when he tell the people anything, they'll believe it. They believe the virus thing. Oh, there's no virus, there's no this. They believe anything he said, anything he comes out of his mouth, and that's a shame.
Mm-hmm. It is.
But I
Well,
don't know what's going to happen.
I
Now this
appreciate
is
that.
this is
I was going to say I was going to appreciate that
this.
perspective, sir, especially because you're in the inner working, so to speak.
Now, this is one other thing I'm working on. This part of my protocol in the Senate. I got to make sure that the Republicans.
Oop, Xavier, where'd you go, brother? Oh, I'm not sure what happened, Xavier. You can request again. You can come back up. I want to call something out. Somebody used information that was inaccurate. You said 6 million. It was 300,000 in December, so we did the math. 312 months, 3.6 million. That's the number that we have for 2023, and that's 1% of our population. Okay, so you want to use your number, 6 million? That's what, 2% of our population. There's not a border crisis. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. It's just another narrative that you're allowing yourself to believe. And sadly, that's the problem, right? So if you were genuinely serious about the border, then why is your criticism not of the Republican Party? Because they have an opportunity to do something and they won't. HR2, that bullshit bill, again, because people don't read, it removes the asylum qualifications for domestic violence survivors. And it also reinstates the Trump era family separation policy. Republicans in the Senate said, not going to happen. We're not going to pass it. Therefore, the Democrats aren't going to pass it, and Joe Biden's not going to sign it. So be responsible. If you truly cared, if your party truly cared about the border, instead of it being a political issue, now we know flat out, members of the Republican Party have said, I'm not doing a damn thing to help with the border because I'm not going to help Joe Biden in the polls. Does that sound like people who prioritize our country? Sounds pretty political to me. So, again, more talking points that you guys allow yourselves to believe. It's ridiculous. Stop believing the nonsense. Danny, how are you tonight?
Hey, I'm doing good. Thank you.
Excellent. Good. What's on your mind?
Thanks for letting me. Yeah, basically, I wanted to ask you, talk about maybe Biden just said it just came out, I think last week, the Biden administration is routing weapons to Ukraine through Greece. And
You have a source for that?
oh, let me find it. I can find it. But yeah, there was a couple news articles, and so because it's not big news, I kind of wondered, okay, it must be maybe just a small thing, but if it's true, let's assuming it's true, I'm pretty dang happy about it. Just I hope it's dang big, and let me see what I can find on it while we're
Yeah,
talking.
there's a story. So Joe Biden is sending weapons to Greece, which is then sending its own to Ukraine. Greece is reported to have missile defense systems vital for Ukraine. So it's not. So we're sending weapons to Greece, and then Greece is sending their own weapons to Ukraine. So
Yes,
it's a workaround, and there's nothing illegal about it. It's
exactly.
part of the process. It's because the Republican Party, although there's a large chunk of the Republican Party, in fact, I would say the majority of the Republican Party, especially in the Senate, that does believe we should continue funding to Ukraine, which we should absolutely be doing, no doubt about it.
100%.
Yep,
It's the legal, moral, ethical, everything thing to do. They're fighting
correct.
their enemy, and they're doing a great job with very little. We're putting in a tiny, almost nothing, relative to the size of our economy and what it would cost us if we try to do this ourselves.
That's
It's
right.
costing us almost nothing. And
Exactly right.
doggone it, they're good people, and
They are.
they're finding. I was really worried about him, and then this happened also just last week. I think it was the EU came out and said I think they passed their $50 billion euro package.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. So other countries in Europe recognize the need to continue to support Ukraine in their defense against Russia's invasion, their unlawful and illegal invasion of Russia. Vladimir Putin's a war criminal.
Yep.
And I don't know why the MAGA snowflakes now are pro Putin. I don't know what's happened there. That's just interesting that they've become Russian and Putin sympathizers. That's just disturbing. Again, anti-American.
Yep, and it makes me crazy to think even the Europeans are now one of the reasons why they got that huge package passed was because they're basically giving up on America, on relying on America, for better or worse.
Yeah,
They do believe that Putin is going to attack Europe,
yeah.
an actual European NATO country, and not in the distant future. So they're ramping up, and smarter heads are prevailing and saying, "Hey, it's better, hell of a lot better to take out Russia in Ukraine than to wait till they hit one of the NATO countries."
Right. And again, so I'm glad you brought that up, Danny. What they don't understand is that part of Article 5 of the NATO agreement is that any NATO country that's invaded, all NATO countries come to their aid. So the fact that Ukraine is the buffer to Europe. So MAGA genuinely thinks that if we just let Putin take Ukraine and stop funding it, that he'll just stop there. I
Yeah.
mean, he wants to take Alaska back. Okay?
Yep.
Like, so that's what they don't understand because they're not well versed in geopolitics, not even close.
Yeah. They see as far as their hand in front of their face.
Yep, that's exactly right.
Yep.
Exactly right. Well said.
All
Thank you,
right.
Danny.
Yep.
Appreciate you, brother.
Have a good
Have a
one.
good night. You too. Bye. Yeah, MAGA, I'd like to talk about that too. Why is it that you don't want to support Ukraine? Because you're told that we shouldn't? What is it? I'd like to know because I don't get it anymore. I really don't. Not saying. How are you?
Good. How are you doing?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on
Good.
your mind?
Good. So, just a quick question. I'm not here to
Sure.
argue. I always say the same thing, and people end up getting heated either way. It's just a genuine question. Because I mean, I do politics. This is my main page, but of course, my For You Live, my For You page, all that is political stuff. Genuine question. No hate. I would just like a honest, just to your core answer. So, we have the election coming up, 2024 election. Looks like it's gonna be Trump. Looks like it's gonna be Biden.
Hmm?
I'm just curious to why. So on the right, I see people talking about Trump policies, economy, how they support Trump. On the left, the only thing I see is the left also talking about Trump. So I'm just curious, why is it? Because, I think of logic. Logically, I do have my opinion, which I will give you my opinion if you'd like. But why is it that we see the person that you don't support continually talked about rather than the policies and the things that you do support and you like to see implemented? Why is what you don't support and the negativity of what you're continually talking about, why isn't the majority of the people on the left talk about Trump, but not the policies and Biden and the positivity that they want to see put in place?
I don't know where you spend your time, but I talk about the things that the Biden administration has done all the time, and the majority of left creators talk about that as well. The reason that we have to talk about Trump is because he is a candidate for president, and he is a
Well,
fascist. Let me
I
finish.
don't see.
Wait, hold
I
on.
don't.
Let me. You gave me an opportunity to ask. Let me answer the question.
Yeah.
You asked me. I let
Go
you speak uninterrupted. Okay. So that's part of the reason. Donald Trump is a threat to America. He's already done so much damage that requires a lot of recovery. So I don't agree with the premise of your question. I hear left leaning creators, and I myself talk about the positivity of the Biden administration all the time. From a legislative perspective, one of the most successful presidents in our history since FDR, no doubt about it. The amount of legislation that's been passed to help the middle class, the infrastructure bill, the Inflation Reduction Act, lowering the cost of pharmaceuticals for seniors, the investment in manufacturing, labor support, Chips and Science Act, so we're not dependent on China and Southeast Asia anymore for our silicone chips. When you say things like you hear the right talking about Trump policy, I don't hear anybody ever talking about Trump's policy because there is no policy.
Yeah, well, I mean, all I can say is it's the same thing I'm always told, but like, look what's behind you. I mean, Trump is the one being talked about, and I get. I mean, just
Sure.
logically, I just think it's just kind of one of two things. Logically, what makes the most sense that we have a group of
Did you hear
people.
anything that I said though, man? Did you hear anything that I said? I
Yeah,
literally just talked about Biden's policy. So can you talk
uh,
to me about specifically a Trump
yeah.
policy?
Well, no, I'm talking about in this moment what I see behind you. That was just simply my
This is
question. That's not
MAGA. MAGA is a threat, man. If you don't see that, I don't know what to tell you.
MAGA. Well, I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, exactly. I mean, I think you believe it's a threat because you've been told it's a threat.
No, no. It's not that I've been told
Have
it's a
you ever
threat.
been
It
to
is
a
a
Trump
threat.
rally? Have you ever
I
been to a
have.
Trump rally?
I have been. Yeah.
What location?
I was in one in Arizona. I was in one in
Mhm.
Ohio. I was in one in there was one in Maine that I was at. I've been to three.
Right.
Yep.
Well, I mean, I have documentation of going to the Tulsa Trump rally, the one that he wasn't supposed to
Okay.
have right after COVID. The
And
only
what does
the
that
only
mean?
people the only people I saw being I had people spit in my face simply for walking around with a shirt that had an American flag on it.
Okay. Well, that's
I
in.
did
I
not see
can't. I
that
can't.
from
That's
them.
just your. I'll take your word for it, but I don't know what relevance that has. So the question that I asked you, what can you talk to me about a Trump policy? Tell me about what Trump's going to do for America.
He puts America first. He brought back
He didn't bring back.
the
He
steel
didn't.
industry.
No, he
You know,
didn't, man. He did. See, this is
see,
this is the point. See,
this is
no,
this is what
no,
hold on. This is what
bro,
you guys
stop. No,
do
no,
every
stop.
single
No,
time.
no. But the
It's called the
problem is,
Democrat butt. It's
no,
called the
bro.
Democrat
No,
butt.
it's
You
because
say
the
actually, but no,
Republicans
that's
don't
never
have
happened.
policies. He crippled the manufacturing industry in our country. We lost jobs. Harley Davidson, Carrier, both cited Donald Trump's tariffs. It's the reason they left the country.
Harley Davidson outputted most of Harley Davidson's not even American made anymore. That happened 12, 13 years ago before
Bro,
Trump.
they were headquartered in the US. They are no longer.
Yes,
Okay?
yes,
So talk
that's
to me
their
about
own fault. Dude,
once
I
again,
was
not
my
saying,
best
once
friend
again,
rides
stop,
Harleys. We were
stop
talking about
talking,
this 9 years ago.
stop talking,
That was
stop
not
talking.
Trump's fault.
Okay, whatever. Tell me a Trump policy, not rhetoric, policy.
Paul, I mean, in general, in 4 years, we had a damn good 4 years. Where's no
Policy,
Paul,
policy,
Abraham Agreement.
policy. That benefit, what was it? What was it? Actually, it wasn't called the Abraham Agreement. What was it called?
Yeah, it was between what was it? Iran, Israel. It
No, what
was
was it
not
called? It wasn't called the Abraham Agreement. What was it called?
Go. I don't know. You tell me.
So you don't even know what it is, man. This is my point. This is my point. You don't understand what it is. These are the parroted talking points. I'm asking you for policy. Can you name one? I'll make it easy for you. One Republican policy over the last 50 years that has benefited anybody but the rich.
Okay, so now we're talking trickle down economics here versus what the left wants.
No, I'm
I mean,
talking about a policy to help anybody but the rich. See,
so in other,
this is
so in other
what
words,
I'm trying to say to
government
you, Fred.
handouts.
This
Government handouts is what you want.
No. Who says I want government handouts?
Everybody
I'm
got one.
asking you. I'm asking you. Cite a policy. Cite
In
one.
what way? Cite a policy that that you claim the left helps. Please
No,
go
I'm
ahead.
asking you to cite a Republican policy. You're the one that's coming up here simping for Trump. So tell me what he's done.
Give me an example of a policy by what you mean. Just give me an example.
Infrastructure bill, Chips and Science Act, Inflation Reduction Act. Those are all policies.
And
Those
you
are now into
and
law.
those are working. And you those are
Absolutely,
working.
they are.
In what way? In what way? We Americans can't pay rent. In what way is that helping?
Okay, dude. Again, I just gave you policies. I've asked you to give me policies for
See,
Trump, and you
yeah,
can't.
no,
You
it's like what's
can't.
going. It's like what's going on the border
No,
right now, to
not
where
saying, bro.
Biden is claiming he wants to pass a bill, but that bill only goes in effect if over 5,000 people cross the border. But
Again,
yet, that's
it's
something you're
not
going to say is
Biden's
a
bill.
win if it
It's a
does get
bill that's
passed, because it's a
once
policy
again, you're
and something
deflecting
that people.
again. Once again, one more chance. I need you to tell me a
No, it's an
policy.
example.
No,
It's
it's
an
not.
example.
You're
No, yes,
pivoting.
what
You're
you're
pivoting.
doing,
Not saying you're
it's
pivoting,
headline
bro.
arguments. It's headline
Bro,
arguments to
you're
say this is a
pivoting.
policy, this is something that's
You're
successful, and
pivoting.
Americans know that in the last 4 years
Okay.
we
Once
are.
again, I muted you. I'm going to ask you one more time. If you want to have a conversation, I answered your questions. I gave you the platform. I answered your questions. I'm asking you to cite a policy from Trump. One policy.
I mean, dude, this is. I guess I just don't understand that. That's what I'm trying to say. When you say policy,
A
you're
policy.
naming policies that Biden passed that was not successful.
How do you know they're not
You're
successful?
claiming that a Republican has not
How do
passed one
you
policy in
know they're not
50
successful?
years.
How do you know they're not successful?
Because I live in America.
So do I.
Thank God I
So
was buying
you
my
don't think
home before Biden
you
got in
don't think
office.
lowering the cost of pharmaceuticals for seniors is good policy?
And Trump didn't get credit for what he did with insulin. But let me guess, that was somebody else, right?
Medicare Part D only. It was expanded under the Biden administration.
Oh, okay, gotcha. See,
That's fact.
see, this is what I'm talking about.
That's
You,
fact
you,
though, man. You don't
yes,
like the
but if I
facts. So one more time.
but
One more
if
time.
I talk about
Stop
unemployment, if I talk
talking.
about the Abraham
One
Accord, if
more
I talk about
time.
these things,
How
there's
do
no
you
policy.
name a policy? Name one. Name one. I'm giving you a
I
chance here,
said
man.
earlier, the Abraham Accord. I said that earlier. I said
No,
a
I had to
record
correct
low
you on it because you
unemployment is
said the
black
Abraham
unemployment.
Agreement. What about it? It's lower now.
Yeah, who's in office now?
It's lower
How many
now.
wars have been started? How many wars have been
Black
started since
unemployment is
Biden got in
lower now.
office?
Black
I'm
unemployment is
sorry,
lower
what?
now. Black unemployment is lower now.
Yes, based off of COVID. Do you understand how unemployment works? That was based
I,
off the
oh,
numbers when nobody was working. That's
oh,
the only reason.
right. So all the jobs lost under the Trump administration, we can blame that on COVID?
Yes, yeah. Pull up a
Oh,
graph and show
right.
me 2018
So
to,
name a
and then mark
policy.
off
You still
2020.
haven't named a policy, man. Not one.
A
If
policy.
you don't know, then say you don't know.
It's not no,
You can
dude.
laugh all
No,
you
this is
want, but
what
you're
you're doing.
embarrassing yourself. You're embarrassing
No, it's
yourself.
not embarrassing myself. No,
You are.
you're naming policies that clearly aren't working, and I'm sitting here
How do
saying
you know they're
he
not
was in
working?
office. I because we live in America. You're fucking crazy if you're
So
sitting here thinking that we can afford stuff.
So did you like Donald Trump's infrastructure bill that he passed? Did you like that bill?
I
The
don't know.
invest. Did
Educate me
you
on it. Go ahead.
did you like it that he invested in highways and bridges and roads and infrastructure and high speed web? Did you like that policy? You think
I
that's a
don't
good
know.
thing?
I don't
Do you
know
think
anything about it.
do
Go
you
ahead and
think
tell me.
that's a do you think that's a I'm asking you, do you think that that's a good thing that he did?
I
Passing
would
it.
have to read. I would have to read the bill because most bills give
Okay,
congressmen a
listen to what
raise
I'm
in the
saying. Let
process.
me
So I
finish
have
my
no idea.
sentence. Do you think investing in America is a good thing?
Yeah, if you put America first, absolutely.
Okay, so Donald Trump's infrastructure bill put America first, investing in growing our infrastructure, which has been crumbling over the years. Do you think that's a good policy?
I mean, I don't know. You'd have to show me the numbers in effect, but I'm sure you're going to say it was actually Biden, and then
It
you're going to say,
was.
"Oh, there you go."
It was
You guys
Biden.
are so predictable.
Because you don't have a policy, man.
Like
You don't get it. You
a
don't know how
poli-
this works. You
we
can't. You
see.
can laugh all you
You
want.
don't know how it works.
You're proving
You
how
read
low IQ
headlines.
you
We
are.
live in America. You read headlines. We live in America. There are so
I
many
live in America
details
too. Where
under
do you
the
think I
table that
live?
we don't know how they work.
You don't know
There
how
are
they
so
work.
many details under the table. We're living in America. We're at
Right.
war
Right.
two times now.
Who
People
and
can't afford
whose fault
milk.
is that? Whose fault is that?
Oh, definitely not the president, right? But you want to talk about policy?
You think it's Joe Biden's fault that Hamas attacked Israel?
Who's funding who?
I asked you a question. You think it's Joe Biden's fault that Hamas attacked Israel?
I mean, no more than I would say COVID was Trump's fault.
Who said COVID was Trump's fault? The fact
Who
that he
said
fucked it up
Hamas?
and
Who
didn't handle
said
it.
Hamas was Biden's fault?
Okay, so what's your point?
That's exactly my point. Is the reaction to it? We don't need to get in other people's business.
Oh,
Why are we funding Israel? Why are we funding Ukraine?
we've always funded Israel. We funded Ukraine under the Trump administration.
Yeah. And as I said, things that go under the table. And here's the thing too. That it is so fishy
I'm gonna
why
stop
the
you. I'm gonna stop
mainstream
you right
media.
there. I still want a
Of
policy.
course.
Can you name one thing that Donald Trump did for America? One thing. One.
I just named it.
No, you
Black
didn't. You haven't
unemployment.
named anything.
Unemployment. No, you just dismiss it. It's called the
No, black
Democrat
unemployment is lower now, dude.
but.
What about the stock market?
Because of COVID, everybody
Oh, right.
knows this.
So there's always
That is like
I
that's like
would like to
arguing
point
the
this out.
gender wage gap,
I would
dude.
like to point this
That's
out
like
that you
arguing the gender wage
I
gap.
would like to
Everybody
point
knows
this
does
out that
not exist.
every time I debunk one of your claims, you just say that it's a Democratic talking point. The irony about this is that you can't cite policy and you claim to be some expert. You do not know what you're talking about. You do not know. You have not identified one thing that Donald Trump has done. Not one. You pivot away, you deflect, you cannot name one.
Well,
Not one.
yeah, because I can't name a bill. I mean, he created new
Don't
jobs.
you
What was
think
it,
you should?
7 million? He helped create 7 million jobs while in office. Let me
He
guess, that's a negative.
lost jobs, bro.
There you go. It's the Democrat,
That's the
he lost
reality.
jobs under
He
COVID.
lost jobs.
People lost their jobs under COVID.
What about the
Yes, they
first two
did.
years? What about the first 2 years?
No. Yeah, it's like our national debt. Our national debt barely moved if you compare it to the last 8 presidents.
You've
But
got
then
to be kidding me.
2020 hit. Of course, it went up. We spent money.
25% Trump put on our deficit. 25%.
Yes, in 2020, after COVID hit,
No, the 4
absolutely, and
years of his
we have
administration.
no clue. We have no clue how
You
another
you
president
are
would have reacted
bro,
to
you are
that, and yet we
so
blame him
clueless.
for
You have
every
no clue how policy works. You have no clue. You have absolutely no clue. You
policy.
can't cite one. You
I,
come up here and act like an expert. You literally come up here and act like an expert. I've asked you 5 times to give me a policy and you can't do it. Just admit you don't know. Just admit that you don't know. If you don't know one, at least I would take you at your word that I would say thank you for being sincere. You don't know one.
half a
Hold
century.
on. You criticize. Hold
We
on.
reached the lowest
Hold
unemployment in
on.
50
Stop.
years.
Stop.
That's not success.
What did you say? What did you say? I didn't hear what you said.
Under Trump, we had the lowest unemployment. Well, I
We
think it
have
was
lower
40 or 50.
unemployment now, man. It's lower
You
now.
asked me what did Trump. You asked me what Trump did
But
well, and
it's
I'm telling you,
lower now.
your only thing is now is compared to COVID.
No,
Those numbers are compared to
you
2020.
can't
But
have
what?
it both ways. You can't have it both
So
ways. You can't wait.
no.
Stop. Stop.
Hold on.
Stop.
So if
Stop.
Trump did
Stop.
something well,
This is how
if
it's going to
Trump did,
work. You said we had the lowest unemployment in 50 years.
hold and
That had
mute
nothing
me.
to,
Answer my question. I told you
that had
something.
nothing to do with COVID. What I'm saying right now is our
Did
unemployment is
something well, and
lower.
you're saying, but Biden did it better. You're asking me, what did Trump do well? I told you. Quit dismissing him because you're fucking brainwashed.
I'm fucking
People can't
brainwashed, dude.
afford shit. Yes,
Oh,
people can't
I'm
afford
brainwashed.
shit, and
I'm
you're up here
brainwashed.
diminishing.
Why is
Yes,
inflation high?
under Trump in 50 years, did unemployment hit a record low in 50 years? Yes or no?
No,
At 3 point bullshit. At 3
it's
point
lower now.
half a century.
I don't care about now. You asked me
Oh,
what did
you
Trump
don't
do
care about now,
well.
but so if you're going to make a decision,
You're asking
for
me. No, at the
if you're
subject
going,
at hand,
but
you
what did
asked
he
me
do?
what did Trump do well. I am telling you. I am telling you what Trump
Oh my
did
God,
well, and
you
you're
have no self-control. Self-control, bro. Self-control. Okay? The question that I asked you specifically was for you to name a policy, and you've not
no.
been
You said
able
what
to
did
do
Trump
it.
do for America, and I said record low
A
unemployment in a
policy,
50-year period
but
for
it's
America.
lower now. It's lower now.
Okay, great job, Biden. But did Trump
Okay?
not do that at the
He
time? At the time,
At the
say
time,
okay, put
sure.
COVID
Same thing with
aside.
the stock market. But the
So
stock
that's
market's
what he
better
did for
now.
America.
But the stock market's better now. Okay? So the point is, if you're going to make your decision based on these kinds of things, then you should be voting for the person who's done a better job. Why would you vote for somebody who didn't do as good a job? It makes no sense. Why would you do that? Seriously, it makes absolutely no sense.
It's embarrassing for you. You're
Not for me,
asking me.
bro.
No, hold on. So that's like saying, tell me, okay, this guy does not deserve to be in the NBA. Tell me why he's in the NBA. Oh, well, he had a record, number 45 points. Oh yeah, well, hey, Michael Jordan had
What?
50. Okay, well, I'm telling you why this
That's not
person
the
did a good
conversation.
job.
It's not
That
sports, it's politics. Would you rather
exactly.
have
You're asking
who
me
would you
what Trump did well, and I'm telling you, and your
I
only
asked you for a
response is,
policy and
well,
you've
well,
still
it's
not been able
better
to
now under Biden, despite
so
the fact of COVID. You're
again,
dismissing COVID.
no, you keep using COVID as a crutch, and you can't have it both ways. You can't say that the
It is a
unemployment.
fact.
Let me finish. You can't say the unemployment broke records under Trump, and then when I say actually it's better under Biden, and you say, well, that's because of COVID. It doesn't work that way. Donald Trump used to brag all the time about the stock market. The stock market is better now. Donald Trump used to brag about GDP. GDP is better now. So my point to you is if you're making a decision based on these factors, wouldn't you want the person who's done a better job managing it? It's that simple. And you can't cite policy. You just can't. That's the issue. I'm asking you to talk to me. I gave you policies that have been passed, that are in law. We know the infrastructure law is working. We know it is. There's investments all over the place. We know it's working because a lot of Republicans that voted against it are showing up at these ribbon cutting ceremonies for these projects. Why would you be opposed to investing in America? Why would you be opposed to that? I'm not waiting for you. Okay, you're done. My God, it's just like you guys have got to understand some basic elements as to how our government works. So if you want to debate policy, first of all, I will own you. If you want to debate policy, then come to me with a policy because you haven't. Rhetoric and talking points are not policy. Trump lowered inflation. What did Trump do to lower inflation? Right? Trump had low unemployment. What did Trump do to lower unemployment? If you want to talk about it that way, then we'll talk about it that way. You can't have it both ways. It's not that difficult. It's a conversation. It's really not that hard. Charles, how are you tonight?
Oh, I'm doing all right. How about yourself?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind?
Well, you asked for a policy. One of Trump's policies that's working till this day?
That helped America. Sure, a policy.
The PATH Act.
The what?
PATH Act.
What's the PATH Act?
People against tax hikes.
Who passed it?
Trump. Beginning of his term.
The Protecting Americans from Tax Hikes of 2015 was an Obama-era law that expanded or renewed several tax credits for individuals, families, and businesses while implementing measures to prevent fraudulent claims for those that credit it. Obama, 2015. Sorry. Try again.
Of course, Google happens to say that. Of course.
Oh, all right. So what would you like me to
Because
do?
everything that anybody else does was either Obama, Biden.
Would you like me to use DuckDuckGo?
Use what?
Would you like me to use DuckDuckGo since you don't want me to use Google?
Go for it.
Okay. PATH Act. Oh, it says the exact same thing. PATH Act of 2015 was an Obama-era law that expanded or renewed several tax credits for individuals, families, and businesses while implementing measures to prevent fraudulent claims for those credits. So I just used DuckDuckGo and told me this. DuckDuckGo and told me the same thing.
Listen, this is what I know right now.
Oh, wait,
I
hold
work
on.
a
Let's
federal.
address that.
I work
Hold
a
on.
federal
Hold
job.
on. Hold on. Wait a
I
second.
work a
Wait.
federal
Stop. Hold
job.
on a second. Stop. Self-control. You gave me the PATH Act. We just confirmed. I used Google and I used DuckDuckGo, and it told me the exact same thing. So can you understand now that it was not Trump, it was Obama? Before you try to gish gallop to something else, Charles, can you address that, please? You can unmute, Charles. Charles. Charles, unmute your microphone. It's a little button that looks like a microphone. Charles. There you are. Unmute your mic. Bye-bye, Charles. I thought so. Nice try, though. That was a good try. I appreciate the effort. Really do. Appreciate the effort. Thank you, friends. Continue to like and share. Really appreciate that. Hope you're doing well. Hey, Matt, how are you?
Doing well. How are you?
Doing fine, thank you. What's on your mind tonight?
One policy that's pretty easy that Trump passed was to stop funding the people that was responsible for the attacks on Israel when we knew they were funding Hamas when Obama was in. That's an easy one.
What's the policy?
I don't know the policy. I mean, it's all over the news. You can look it up.
Well, no, that's not. It's not my responsibility. You're the one.
I mean, that's fine. You know what I'm talking about, though. Clearly.
No, I don't.
Right? Oh, really? I mean,
I don't. Yeah, Matt, go back and do your research. You can come back and we can talk about it. I'm not doing your homework for you. It's just nonsense, you guys. Seriously, just do some research. It's not that hard. My God. Cyber God, how are you tonight?
All right.
I'm fine too. Thanks for asking. What's on your mind?
The right to try policy.
The right to try. What is the right to try? What is it?
If you are sick, you can try any medicine.
What is right to try? Right to try is one pathway for patients diagnosed with life-threatening diseases or conditions who have exhausted all approved treatment options and are unable to participate in a clinical trial. Access to certain drugs. Okay, right to try. Let's see. When was it passed? When do you think it was passed, sir?
Trump passed that.
Really? So why is the date 2022 on it then?
I have no idea what you're looking at, so.
I'm looking at the Right to Try Act, as you told me. The FDA published a final ruling. It's the Right to Try Act, one way for patients who have been diagnosed with life-threatening diseases, the exact same one you told me about. So
that was Trump that passed that.
In 2022?
No, I don't know what you're looking at, dude.
I'm looking at what you just told me to look at, bro. That's what you just told me to look at. So I don't know what to tell you.
Well, you got a lot of misinformation then.
Oh, I do? Right, okay. Yeah. Unfortunately, that's a sad thing. Sorry, but would you like to try again?
Try these nuts.
Right. Okay. Have a good night, Mr. Maturity. See, once again, look, people, it's not that difficult, right? It's really not that difficult. It says everything we need to know about MAGA. Everything we need to know. Big Lou, how are you?
How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for asking. What's on your mind?
I said the only act that he should have passed the act of going to prison for all the crimes that he committed.
Trump?
Yeah.
Well, I believe in the judicial system. I believe in the rule of law. I believe in people are innocent until proven guilty. We'll see how it goes.
But listen, here he is. He defrauded all them banks in New York.
Yeah.
Right? He inflated his property, and his kids did the same thing. Now, and they should be held accountable for robbing the banks because they never paid the money back. Now,
they did. They did pay the money back in the New York fraud case, but it's still fraud. It's still techless fraud, and fraud is a crime.
Right. Now, the Chrisleys, remember the show The Chrisleys Knows Best?
Yeah.
about the father. Okay, now they went to prison. The mother and the father went to prison for the same thing that he committed with his kids for defrauding the banks. Look it up. Now, if they can go to prison, why can't he and his family go to prison for defrauding the banks and all that?
Well, that's what the case is about. So we'll see.
Because if we're going to go a rule of law, I broke the law and I paid my debts to society. I didn't cry. I didn't bitch about it. I didn't say nothing. I broke the law. I know I was wrong. And I went and paid my debts to society. I come
Right.
home now, and I'm working. And I know that I'm not supposed to do that anymore. So he knows that those are wrong things to do, but he continued to do them. Now, when is enough is enough? You know what I
Well,
mean?
yeah, that's what the court system. They got a lot of background noise, Lou. I can barely
Yeah,
hear
let
you,
me
man.
let me let me get out. Let me get out over here.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, because those are one of my pet peeves, that he can do this and do that and not be held accountable. Because paying money is one thing, but you broke the law. There should be a penalty. Okay, he paid back the money. Let's not put him in jail. No,
Well,
you
he's
did it.
out. He's technically out on bail, Lou. Don't forget that he's out on bail in all these cases because he's been arraigned, which means by definition you're out on bail.
Right.
So,
Now,
and there are terms of his release, and we're expecting the decision from the judge in New York regarding this fraud case anytime. We could have
right.
it as soon as next week. And the,
Okay.
ex, the expectation is that he's going to be fined $300 billion and likely be out of business in New York.
Well,
So
he's not going to ever, they're not going to ever let him do any business in New York, him or his kids,
we don't know
because
that.
they're all, yeah, none of them,
Yeah,
none of
we
them,
don't know.
you
We don't
know.
know that yet.
Well, they shouldn't be able to do any business in New York, all the fraud and all the things that they did. And I feel that if I pay my debts to society, he should be able to pay his debts to society.
I would
And
agree.
he should get prison time. No slap on the wrist, because no, he's a habitual liar. He's a habitual offender because he can continue to do the same thing, and he defrauded the college that he's supposed to have put together. The minute he got all that money, he closed it down. That's an act of fraud. Um, his kids profit while he was in office. What hotel room cost $10,000 a night?
Yeah, that's the whole point, right? It's about the level of people, again, the apologists for Trump. It's fraud. Fraud is a crime. You commit
Right,
crimes, you have to pay the price. That's how it works.
right,
It doesn't. It's not a question of whether or not you like it or not. You commit a crime. If you speed and get caught, you violated the law. If you rip
right,
off the banks and insurance companies to try to
right,
inflate your value, that's a crime.
right.
It is what it is. I don't know what to tell you. It's a
Yeah,
crime. That's how it goes.
yeah. And the thing
Yeah.
is, he's falling under the umbrella that he's running for the office again. And I'm gonna tell you, and mark my word, I went through the '67 and the '68 riots. It is going to happen again. History will repeat itself again, because him and his mega boys are trying to do away with my vote, my right to vote, because I'm Latino or because I'm black. They don't want you to vote anymore, you know? And they're doing everything they can to make it hard for us to vote, because I believe that he's going to lose this election, and there's going to be a civil war going to break out, because that Texas governor declared war on the what came of that?
No,
That's
I
one
don't
of
want
his.
to. Hey, Big Lou, I don't want to talk about that because that's not going to happen.
Okay,
Let's be careful about that because
yeah,
that's not going to happen. That's just people. It's the saber rattling. It's a bunch of ridiculous patriots thinking they're going to do something in Texas. Let Texas secede as far as I'm
yeah,
concerned. Go for it. Go for it.
Right,
Knock yourself out. Have fun.
right, right. And I'm saying this. Now it's hard for me that I got to work a job from 10 at night to 6 in the morning, and I can't even reach the goal of paying my rent
Yeah,
because, you know, it is so high. Everything is so high. And it's because of his mistakes in office.
yeah. I know you're right. Well, thank you,
And they
Lou.
want,
I appreciate you jumping in tonight, brother. Thanks a lot. I really appreciate it.
thank you. Thank
You
you. And
got it.
keep going. Keep going.
Thank you, man.
Keep
Thanks a
letting the
lot.
people know. Keep
Thank you.
going.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Have a good
All
night.
right.
Be
You
well.
too. Bye.
Thanks, man. Bye.
Bye.
I want to correct something. There's a couple of different dates here. So specifically, in May 2018, the Right to Try Act from 2017 was signed into law. There's a lot of nuance to it here. It looks like, so it does seem like that was a positive thing that would help people be able to try experimental drugs. So that's a good thing. Eligible patients can appeal directly to a drug manufacturer for access to an investigational drug that has completed one phase 1 clinical trial by bypassing the Food and Drug Administration. However, the action did not quell debate about the ethics of it, and it's still being debated. They've made a bunch of changes to it, but sure, we can use that. That's a decent policy. I don't know a lot about it, but that was signed into law in May of 2018. Is that right? There's a couple of different dates that are on it. May of 2018. There's another one that's May of 2020. So yeah, again, I don't know a lot about it, but sure, we can use that. No problem. Happy to do that. So that's how it works, right? You recognize something and you address it. I had a request from somebody. Yeah, I would like to mention CoinCloud. Unfortunately, I'm not able to do it. I do want to remind folks that there is a, thank you, Mod. There is there's a push on TikTok to try to support and stand in solidarity with BIPOC creators. I thought I had it set up tonight. The idea is to turn off your gifting. I apologize for that, but it's not off. It should be. It looks that way to me. I guess I have to set it up differently. I'll do that when I go live on Monday. The idea behind it, if you start to see hashtag CoinCop on a lot of creators' lives, we're trying to stand in solidarity with our BIPOC creators, our fellow BIPOC creators who have their content suppressed. So you'll see more about it as we get through it. Hey, Matt, how are you tonight?
It's good.
Good, I'm fine too. Thanks for asking. What's on your mind?
I'm not a Trump supporter,
Okay.
but I'm also not a Biden supporter. Can you say anything bad about Biden?
Yeah, all the time.
Okay, good. Making sure
Yeah.
you just ain't blindly following, because there's a lot of people on the left and right that won't say anything bad about Trump or Biden, and I think those people have zero credibility at all.
I don't know anybody on the left that doesn't hold Joe Biden accountable in the Democratic Party. That's just a difference in
Oh,
ideology.
there's plenty that won't admit he
Okay.
has dementia and everything. I mean, he's clearly sick. I mean, it's
Matt,
easy to
Matt,
see.
Matt, we're not going to say things like that, dude. Okay.
I mean,
I've
it's
lost
fine.
family
We don't
members
have to
to
say it, and we can see it.
No, so hold on, Matt. So I find that very interesting that you would say that, and you just kind of question me as to whether or not I can criticize Joe Biden. So if you're going to make a claim like that about Joe Biden's cognitive abilities, then you obviously need to be sincere and say the same thing about Trump, right?
Trump's cognitive abilities is far, far above
Right.
what Joe
So
Biden.
why did he refer to, why was he trying to make the
He
claim that it was,
misspoke, but you could understand what the
Nick,
frig he was saying, right?
Nikki Haley was responsible for security on January 6th, telling us that we're going into World War II.
Oh, you don't want to
Claim,
talk about.
claiming that he
Like I
was
said, I can.
claiming that he was running against Barack Obama in 2016. Yeah, he seems really sharp.
I ain't saying he's sharp, but you can understand what he's saying. He doesn't mumble. He doesn't walk around like
Joe
a
Biden's a
vacuum.
stutterer, man. He's got a
He
stutter.
doesn't
He's had it his
stutter. He
whole life.
doesn't even say words. He
He's
rumbles around like a Roomba,
Have you ever
vacuum
watched
cleaning when
have
he's
you ever
done.
watched one of his speeches?
Unfortunately, one every 6 months? He doesn't
Did you
talk.
watch the speech he gave to the UAW? Did you watch any of that?
No.
Why didn't you?
Why did Joe Biden?
It's a question. Why didn't you watch that?
Why would I watch it?
Because again, all you're getting are little snippets from your
I'm
right
not
wing
getting
echo
little
chambers.
snippets.
Yes, you are. Yes,
I'm
you
not.
are. If you honestly think that Donald Trump's cognitive ability is exponentially better than Joe Biden's, then dude, I got a plot of land I want to say in the middle of the Atlantic.
Whatever. We can agree to disagree. That's fine.
Okay.
Why
So
did Joe Biden start funding the United World Health Organization again?
Cite your source.
What do you mean, cite my source?
Cite your source. You made a claim. Cite it. What is it?
Oh my God! Well,
that's how it works, dude. You make a claim.
It doesn't.
I'm not
sitting in front of a computer.
I saw Matt steal 3 school buses from a parking lot yesterday.
I'm not sitting in front of a computer. What do you mean?
You made the claim, bro. You made a claim.
Okay, I see a lot of people saying I'm lying. You want me to tell you why I don't support Trump? Because he made fun of the reporter with the hand thing. He made fun of McCain, prisoner of war. Really turned off on that. Yep. And he's not a nice person.
Sexually abused a woman.
I
obstructed justice.
Disagree with that. That's a joke of a case. If I've ever seen.
Yeah, and you're a pig. Good night. Cheated on all 3 wives. That's right. Hey, Leo, how are you?
So I was ready, man. I swear. But that last tail end of the person before me just totally threw me off for a second, and I blanked out. So if you don't mind, my dude, really nice to meet you. Glad I still trust you. You have a very intelligent comment section, it looks like. I would like to have an adult conversation with someone about the border.
Sure.
Okay, so firstly, where do we begin? American immigration isn't like a single policy issue. They pretend it is, but it's actually like 12 problems in a trench coat pretending to be an issue. And
so let's go one at a time here. So you said there's 12 problems. So what are they?
I'm with you, man. Just quick side note. It used to be like 3. We're just getting worse at it. Collectively.
But what are they? What are the problems?
Okay. So first one, my personal favorite one. There is a demand for illegal labor in this country.
Let's not say illegal. Undocumented, please.
No. Labor.
You said illegal.
Labor.
Okay, so you're changing that because you did say illegal. Now you're saying
no. Illegal labor. They're being exploited for their labor. That's
right. Let's not. My point is, let's not use the word illegal, please.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I misunderstood. I'm not. It's not that I'm trying to be rude or anything.
I'm just fair. That's fair. I'm not, and I'm not assuming you are. I'm just saying we shouldn't use that. We don't, because no human is illegal.
No, I'm not trying to say that at all. Okay. That is absolutely not what I'm saying. They're being victimized.
Fair enough.
They are being victimized. They're being sold on something that's not true. Coming over here and they're being exploited.
They are. Absolutely.
And yeah, that's what I'm saying. I'm not saying shame on them for trying to better themselves. I'm saying shame on the fact that there's American corporations that literally recently got in trouble for having immigrant children, all right, that were undocumented cleaning a meat processing facility.
You're calling out a very obvious thing, and I appreciate that.
Never has there, and this is why this is the one that makes me upset. There has never been any kind of curb to that behavior implemented. There are fines and things, but they're a joke. It is ridiculous.
I agree. So what else? What else you got?
Cool. Number 2. So here's a really weird thing. So you gotta understand, people that even try to like immigrate here legally, they only take like 3% of people.
Yeah, 97% of asylum claims are refused and denied.
Yeah, denied. And what's super crazy though is they won't even accept them if they're from China, India, or Mexico.
Correct.
The other thing that drives me nuts about this is how politicized these people are.
Yeah, absolutely. They're scapegoated.
Well, and here's the thing, and I please don't take this the wrong way, but if you want to look at it in a very kind of, I don't want to say this, but it's kind of the only way my primitive mind can kind of like construct the sentence. I'm sorry. I'm a clumsy communicator. My bad, dude.
All good.
Um, so the Democratic Party has a long tradition of being really forward with South American communities and things like that. I'm not saying that's a bad thing.
What do you mean being forward? What do you mean by that?
I would say if you wanted to, here's the comparison I would make. Okay, when Donald Trump was president, uh, he didn't stop bringing in immigrants. He just started bringing them in from India.
That's not true.
That is
There
true,
were
actually. It,
no, Leo. Hold on a second, bro. Are you saying that no one was immigrating from Central and South America during the
no,
Trump
no, they
administration?
were. They were. They were.
Okay, okay.
Now, here's the thing, though, is you know how that we constantly keep having this problem with a clear and decisive way for citizenship? Well, it's not that it's not possible. It's just there's a preference, and it seems to be who's in power as opposed to who's most in need of assistance or who we're able to assist.
Sorry, are you trying to make the case that Democrats are only allowing people of Hispanic descent to come into America because they want them to be voters? Is that your claim?
No,
What are you trying to say, man?
not.
Land the plane here.
Okay, okay. I'm sorry, and I am making a very clumsy point. To be fair, so I'm not saying that. You see, and that's such a horrible thing to say. You know what, man? I might have to retract that point entirely.
Probably a good
Like
idea.
to be fair, like well, and here's my issue: is in no way, shape, or form would I ever want to place blame on any of these people. You know, they're being victimized even more when they're supposed to be finding safe harbor, and it
Right. So
kind
I,
of breaks my heart.
what I'm asking you to try to do is I'm trying to land the plane. What is the point that you want to make? Okay, let's land the plane here.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Um, so this isn't new either. Like we've had a crisis at the border my entire life.
It's not a crisis.
Well, I'm sorry. I was being hyperbole. I was trying to be sarcastic. My bad.
Yeah, we have immigration challenges certainly, but we don't have a crisis.
No, I'm sorry. I was trying to be sarcastic. Um, but like, and here's the thing: is really, I'm super glad that finally someone's trying to put money towards it, like the border and things like that, and trying to. I don't think that they should have razor wire going across the border. That's insane.
Right?
Um,
Who's trying to fund the border? Which party?
right now, the Democratic Party is.
Exactly
They
right.
are trying to solve the problem. They are
Exactly right.
reached across, bent over backwards.
That's exactly right.
Well, dude, I'm not here to lie to anybody. I am a traditionally conservative voting person, like
Okay.
to be frank, but I didn't come down from the hills to lie to anybody or misrepresent myself. Um, but and again, I feel like I feel like there's an objective way to look at these things that I I guess this okay. Land the plane. How
Land the
does
plane.
how does something like basic human rights and having other people in need become so politicized in the first place?
Because it's always been politicized. And the problem is you see, like you started off this conversation by saying we should be penalizing companies and corporations who are looking for cheap labor, hiring undocumented people because economically it's a benefit for them. They don't have to pay them as much, they make more money. That's the first step. This is a humanitarian issue more than anything else. If we prioritize our immigration to focus on humanitarian, economic, and family reunification, then I think that would solve all of our problems.
Well,
There's not a crisis. There's not a crisis at the border. It's hyperbole. It's allowing people because the Republican Party can't run on anything. They can't run on the economy because it's doing well. They can't run on anything legislatively. So they have to use fear mongering to try to drive voters to the polls. That's it. That's the entire ballgame.
oh, not to mention the fact that some of them pay into Social Security that they'll never be able to draw out of.
Yeah, I mean they want to raise the retirement age. They certainly
Um,
can't run on human rights because they've lost that fight years ago. So that's what they have. I mean, it's literally comes down to they want to fear monger because if it was truly a problem, they are the party in power in the House. If they truly wanted to solve the problem, they would. Members of their own party said they're not going to do anything on the border because they don't want to help Joe Biden in an election year. That is ridiculous.
right.
Ridiculous.
We're gonna ignore the problem, so it's a bigger problem, so we can.
We're going to tell people it's a problem. We're going to scare them into it. Then we're going to try to blame other people. And then they take the words of Donald Trump, don't do anything. He literally said, don't do anything. The border's not that big a deal. Don't do anything. I'll fix it when I come into power. So you tell me, what is it? Is there a problem or isn't there?
That's kind of like, how is Joe Biden both a criminal mastermind and a dementia patient at the same time?
Exactly. That's exactly right. That's
That is
exactly right.
incredibly, like, I don't know how you pull that off, but I'm
That's
impressed.
exactly right. He's a mastermind on global criminality, but yet he can't walk across the stage. Give me a break.
You know what? Maybe that's why he's successful. That's a can-do attitude, if I ever heard one.
Anything else, Leo?
I'm sorry, dude. I'm long-winded. You have a good day.
You too, brother. Thanks a lot for coming in. I appreciate it. Have a
Bye.
good night. Bye-bye. So again, I mean, it's the same conversation. You don't need me to convince, or I should say, I'm not going to be the one that's going to convince you. Ask yourself this: if it truly was a problem, the Republicans are in charge of the purse in the House. Why have they not introduced legislation? Because in our government, you've got to be able to pass legislation. HR2 that I hear a lot of people talking about, even the Republicans in the Senate, same party said, no, we are not going to vote for this because, again, it removed asylum protection for women who are victims of domestic violence, and it reinstituted Trump-era family separation policies. And the Republicans in the Senate said, nope, not going to happen. So if it was truly a problem, if you wanted to change the law, then why aren't you doing anything, MAGA, Republicans in the House, to do something about it? That, again, tells you it's not a problem. That's the reality. Thank you, friends. Continue to like and share. Really appreciate it. Hey, Anthony, how are you? Anthony? Anthony going once. Anthony going twice. Okay. Sorry, Anthony. All right. See you later, friends. I'll get to you guys in just a second. Try to work through the box here. Hey there. How are you tonight? The real Connie's Closet. How are you?
Hi. I didn't know I was coming up.
You requested. Did you not want to?
Oh, I don't mind speaking to you.
Did you have something on your mind?
I just enjoy your show.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
You're so intelligent. You know so much.
Thank you very much. I appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, so every night I turn you on and listen to you until I fall asleep.
Cool. That's good. That's if I'm whatever it takes. Whatever it takes. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Well, that's all I want to say.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your support. I really appreciate it. You have a good night.
All right, you too.
Sleep well.
You too.
All right. Bye. Okay. We're working through here. Thank you guys. Appreciate all the support. If you want to support the channel, that's the Cash App. Colorado Mom, how are you? Colorado Mom, how are you?
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's okay. Did you not want to request?
All right. Bye.
Bye. No worries. We got you. It's happening a lot lately. I think the buttons are so small. Okay. All right. We'll try Andy. Hi, Andy. How are you?
Math makes sense to me.
I'm sorry?
Make Republican math make sense to me. They don't want money to go to Ukraine because they want it to come back home, right?
Right.
But Alabama gets offered free school lunches and they say no.
Right.
We got offered Medicaid extension. They said no.
Right.
They gave us $400 million for the vid, and they gave it to the for-profit prison.
Right.
How do they think they're going to run the company if they don't know how to handle money at all?
Well, they can't, which is exactly the point. They do not have any legislative competency whatsoever. They do not want to legislate. It's been that way for the last 40 years in our country. They've been working on packing the courts, and they've been working on overturning Roe. And now that that's happened, they don't know what to do.
Well, they need to figure something out.
No,
Swear.
they don't care. They're going to continue to lie to their base, and their base will continue to vote for them.
Well, I have been out canvassing in Alabama, and I found out that we actually have more Biden supporters than I thought.
Yeah, they're out there, and I think it's interesting in Alabama because Alabama was front and center when it came to a voting rights case. When I know that the Republican state just denied a black congressional district, they got sued. The Supreme Court said you need to redraw your district maps because you're violating the Voting Rights Act and the Constitution. And then Alabama refused, and the Supreme Court said, "Well, you're going to do it anyway." And now an independent third party is going to come in and redraw the map.
Well, you left out one other dumb thing they did. After they didn't want to redraw the congressional map, and all of that, Alabama also, like, totally lost my train of thought. Oh, the Supreme Court. I
Right.
think that Alabama is trying to force a thing to the Supreme Court over our new Constitution.
Yeah, I mean, again, another example of Republicans prioritizing things that nobody gives a shit about except the very few in their base.
Well, they
They're
said
on
they were going to
the
take out racist language, but what they did was take out women's rights.
of course.
They took out the right for the LGBTQIA plus community to get married.
That's right.
Thanks to Joe Biden, that they were able to save that, but it now lays on the
Correct.
books as a trigger law.
That's right.
We can't sue the state.
No, I mean it depends on the circumstance, right?
No, it's in the Constitution. It says in Alabama for no reason can you sue the state.
Really? Wow.
I
I hadn't heard that.
swear. Look
Wow.
up so you'll find it correctly because they're not like they don't want us to know about it. It'll be under proposed Alabama 2022 Constitution. And it's not proposed anymore, it's ratified. And it
Wow.
is a nightmare. The sanctity of the womb has rights. I don't.
It's interesting. I don't know much about that. I'm going to have to look into that now because that would be really interesting that you can't sue a state. What if they violate your civil rights? You can't sue them?
They made LGBTQA plus marriages invalid, but like I said, that was fixed by Biden. But like I said, it will lay there as a trigger law. That thing is full of it is the most unconstitutional.
Yeah, this is what it says. It says under the Alabama Constitution, the state and its agencies have absolute immunity from suit in any court. The Supreme Court of Alabama has concluded that sheriffs, as executive officers of the state, also enjoy absolute sovereign immunity from lawsuit. This absolute immunity has also extended to deputy sheriffs. That is ridiculous.
Tell me how
That
this
is
can be my
fascism right
constitution.
there. Wow,
I
that's
thought you
crazy.
might like that.
That is crazy. Holy moly.
I thought you might enjoy that
I,
little tidbit.
I wonder how many other states are like that. I need to dig into that a little bit. Thank you for that little tip.
We just voted on it, and like I said, they just pushed it through. And I don't think most of the people in my state have read it. Like I've mentioned, they're like, Andy, quit being. I'm like, I am not being funny. That's what's in there.
That's exactly what's in there. It's under the Constitution, the state and its agencies. So that would be
Oh,
the state, and all state agencies have absolute immunity from suit in any court. So that
this is
basically
what.
means that any agency in the state can violate citizens of Alabama's civil rights, and yet they're immune from prosecution. That is fascism right there. There you go.
And that's a new. And just so everybody doesn't think that's old, that's brand new.
So Republican voters, that means you too. So if the state violates your rights, you have no protection under the law, which means why do you keep voting for these people? They don't give a shit about you. They don't care.
They flushed all Alabama's money down the drain, and now we can't even sue them. We don't have a leg to stand on. And don't go to one of Alabama's prisons because we have for profit prisons, which means they have to keep making prisoners to stay in business.
Wow, that's crazy. Well, thank you for sharing that with me.
That
And
is all.
I
Have a
did
good
not know
night.
that. I appreciate you. Have a good night. See you later. Wow, that is crazy. Holy shit. Alabama Constitution, state and its agencies. I'm reading that correctly, aren't I? Yes. You can't, so you can't sue the state of Alabama. Wow, unbelievable. That is so freaking dangerous. Whew. I need a break from the mayhem and chaos. Good evening, sir.
What a bunch of mouth breathers you have had tonight.
They're out there. It's Friday.
Oh
Is
my
it a full
God.
moon? Oh, it's Groundhog Day. That's what it is.
Oh, there we go. That's it.
Yep.
That Alabama law kind of surprises me. I know, and correct me if I'm wrong, but in the U.S. Constitution, it says you can only sue the federal government if it accepts your lawsuit. Isn't that right?
I don't know.
Because if you and the reason it was written in there, because when I first read that, I thought, well, that sounds a little selective, and it appears to be it was put in there because otherwise any knucklehead could sue them for any reason and take up the court's time.
Okay.
Yeah, I know I had an uncle who eventually won a lawsuit with the government. He was a sailor at the Bikini Atoll nuclear test, and that didn't go well for him in the long run.
Well, this the way I read this, right? So, I mean, it says the state and its agencies, which means the state police, for example, if they violate, because they extended it. So the Supreme Court of Alabama has concluded also that sheriffs, as executive officers of the state, also enjoy absolute sovereign immunity from suit. So again, if civil rights are violated by a member of the sheriff's department in Alabama, they're immune from prosecution. That's how I read that. Is that how you interpret that as well?
I don't read it as prosecution because that would also be federal. If they violate somebody's civil rights, that's a federal crime, and so they could be prosecuted federally. The way that reads to me is you can't sue them for damages
civilly. Interesting. The Supreme Court of Alabama has concluded that sheriffs, as executive officers of the state, also enjoy absolute sovereign immunity from suit. So that could be a criminal suit or a civil suit. It doesn't differentiate.
But the state of Alabama cannot determine what the federal government does.
Although the Act claims sovereign immunity, it does create statutory exceptions for private citizens to sue the state and other public entities for injuries and damages. For those limited exceptions, there's also exist a number of strict claim procedures which victims must follow in order to recover damages. I got to read more about this because that's scary as shit, if that's true.
It is. I mean, I can understand a certain degree of language that the government would set up to protect itself from frivolous suit.
Agreed.
Because otherwise, everybody'd sue the government all day, every day.
Let's go. I get you. That makes sense, and I think you're right about the fact that because civil rights are protected under federal law. So, but it does seem interesting because I'm thinking about police brutality, for example.
Well, and then you would have to prove that a particular case of police brutality was a violation of civil rights. Now, certainly, if it's a white cop and a BIPOC suspect, that's a pretty provable entity.
Right.
If it's a white cop and a white suspect, is it provable that it's a violation of his civil rights and not just a police officer going too far? You know, that's and is that in and of itself a violation of civil rights? I mean, I'm not an attorney. I'd have to, when you hear about this, what do we usually see? We see a BIPOC victim of the attack by police, and yeah, that's what makes the news. That's what gets splashed. So, and
Hey,
justifiably so. I mean,
yeah,
so
Warner asked a good question. He says hate crimes are federal, though, right? Yeah, I think you're right about that. So there are protections from hate crimes would be considered a federal violation of our rights as citizens.
I
I
could
gotta
be
look.
wrong.
I gotta.
I could be wrong, but I think some states also have hate crime statutes.
They do. Yeah, my state
Yeah,
has one. Yeah, it's relatively new. Why did it
yeah.
take so long? Um, Interesting. It also talks about pain and suffering damages fall under larger categories. So there are. It does look like there's some nuances to it. I gotta read more about this because if that's a model, um, then you're gonna start to see it in other states too. Obviously,
Oh, every red
that's
state.
that's fucked up.
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, and there's got to be, and again, I'm no lawyer, but there's got to be some sort of a federal challenge if the state constitution somehow tries to supersede the federal.
Right. Right. And then we just had a good question that came by in the chat while you're talking, Rusty. Like if a woman is harmed during a medical procedure, whether or not if she's within her, we know they have trigger laws in Alabama. We know that their draconian abortion laws are there. If she's hurt by a physician during that procedure, can she sue? That'd be a private individual. That would be a medical facility. It wouldn't necessarily be a state. Oh man, there's so many layers to this thing. I need to ask. I'll check in with Barrister later and see if he
Yeah,
knows anything about it.
that's scary.
That is really scary.
Yeah,
And
and
again, for our friends on the right, this affects you guys too. This is not just Democrats can't sue or liberals can't sue. That would be everybody. And for those of you who believe in small government and you do not want government intervention in your life, well, explain that to me then. Defend that. How do you defend that? That's crazy.
yeah, no, dude, I've been working, and I had you on in the background, and holy shit, I wanted to clock out early so I could jump in and eat some idiots. I mean, you were holding your own brilliantly,
Thank you.
but they can't hear you through the static in their head. And no matter how you lay things out, and the smug laughter they throw out,
I know.
like they know something you don't know. And it's just,
Yeah.
have a conversation. I love the one guy who started off saying, I just want to have a conversation, and it's not 60 seconds and he's
Right.
yelling.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
And
We've seen that before.
oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's almost a precursor to yelling when they say, I just want to have a no, you don't. You don't.
That's the debate bro. That's what we see a lot now. It's the debate bros, and they've been researching how if you want to get engagement, then you got to soft sell your way in, right? So
Yeah.
that gets somebody that engaged. But I sniffed that shit out early on. This isn't my first rodeo.
No, of course. Yeah. It just is
Nikki
I,
says funny. See, Nikki says that's their foreplay. It's true.
yeah, sadly, it probably is.
Totally is.
First, they've got to debate with their partner whether or not they're going to get any.
Right.
Hey, Bunny, I see you in the chat down there. Um, but uh, yeah,
Well, we know that single MAGA men aren't getting any
no,
because women are, and we know that they can't find it, right, ladies? We know that they can't find it. So I can tell you what, liberal men can find it.
absolutely. We spend time learning.
Indeed, we
We
do.
want to educate ourselves.
That's right.
Oh, and
That's right.
speaking of Bad Bunny, I know you were in the chat in her first live.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you saw when I came in the room, but I almost got her taken down.
Right.
I couldn't handle the idiots. I could not handle the idiots, and just started chewing them up, and I had to stop. And I even said, I apologize. I'm gonna get this live taken down, but these absolute momos were just unrelenting. and she was doing a good job trying to wrangle everybody, including me. But
Right.
um, yeah,
Hey,
I didn't know.
have you ever had any experience? What's that? What did they call it? I want to make sure I get it right. The dignified transfer, um, which is what happens when remains of service individuals are returned home. They refer to it as dignified transfer. I didn't know it was actually called that. Um, have you ever experienced anything like that in your life?
I have not.
Interesting.
I'm fortunate that uh, the service members in my family that passed did so when I was very young,
Okay.
and later on as an adult, I haven't had any opportunity to have to deal with that.
Yeah.
So, which I
I
guess is
can
good.
imagine that would be a very difficult thing to have to go through. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
My father um, had to deal with one of his brother's sons. Um, and my father was in Vietnam at the time and escorted the body back. And
I'm gonna bring Nikki up because I asked her to connect with Anthony because Anthony is obviously we know he's a service member, retired. But so I asked Nikki if she wanted to dig in and get some information about that. So Nikki, what did you
Okay,
learn?
so I had actually asked Fax this morning because I was watching the three soldiers that were killed in Jordan are actually from Georgia over here. So I was watching them be taken off of the plane. I think it was, is it Dover?
Yeah,
Is it
Dover, Delaware.
Dover Air
Yep.
Force Base. Okay.
Yep.
Sorry. Somebody's texting me who shouldn't be texting me. Who's in the chat. So I was watching it, and my question for Fax was because I had never seen this before. Being in Georgia, Delta is a hub here, and Delta has a specific unit that I forget what they're called. If anybody knows, please put it in the chat. There's a specific unit that what they do is it's like an honor guard. I think it might be called the honor guard. That is made up of soldiers, and what they do is when Delta will fly members, fallen soldiers home to wherever they are for free, and they will fly their family members there to meet them for free. The honor guard, what they do is the pilot will actually make an announcement on the plane. Please wait. We're not going to be deboarding yet. We have a fallen soldier that is being taken off for her last thing, and everybody actually watches. And the ceremony to have the person taken off is it. I mean, it's heartbreaking, but it really is a beautiful ceremony to have them
Sure.
do that.
Sure.
So being here, because we're here, they've done it, and I've watched it a whole bunch of times, and I've never noticed something that I did today. So it was kind of, I don't know why it caught my eye. The plane that the soldiers were brought back on is one of those aircraft carriers, a boat, right? It's one of those big planes where you open the back up and you can literally drive the truck
Yeah,
into.
yeah,
like a
it's a
C1 like a
cargo
C-130
plane,
or something like that. Yep.
C-130. Yeah.
Okay, I should know that because like Dobbins Air Force Base is 5 feet away from like my house, and those damn things take off all the time. So they opened that, and in the back of it was three soldiers, but you could see two, and the coffins that they were in were metal, and it was silver, bright silver metal,
And
and
then
I had
draped in
never
the
seen
flag,
that before.
right?
Huh?
And then draped in the flag, obviously.
It was 100%. It was draped in the flag, and
So what we learned is that there's a specific division or group within, and I wonder if it covers all branches. Do they all meet together? And
for
then
Delta, yes, yes,
so they're there. That's part of the protocol. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah.
For the one at Dover, it was the military. It was 100%. It was the military. So
Sure. So it's an
I
Air Force
asked
base. Yep.
Anthony, and I realized when I've seen it, they're in wood. It's a wood casket. And
Interesting.
hero flights. That's what to call it. Thank you, Shock. They're called hero flights.
Hero flights. I've heard that
Okay.
before. Yep.
So the flag is also like a fitted sheet that was on them. It was very tight around the top. It was snug around the casket. It wasn't draped at all. It was completely fitted around this box. So I asked Anthony, I'm like, I never noticed it being metal before. Is that like, did I just not notice it?
I think, and I could be wrong, having I have seen these not live. I've seen them, on the news and whatnot.
Mhm.
I think that the military has a standard coffin.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you, Anthony said to me, so he said, they've been metal since I was in and it's protocol for the Air Force regard to how they transfer fallen soldiers and fallen soldiers' remains. They're and how they're protected with certain cases. And what's left of the remains is loaded into these safe boxes, is what they're called.
Right.
He's like, don't think of them as coffins, as it's not their final resting place. On the plane, you have to be able to secure the boxes safely onto the plane. These allow that to happen. So when I thought about it, they were like those ones where you can, like, on the sides, they would have those little ratchet things that you could like attach it down to the floor if it had like one of those pulley cables.
Well,
That's
cargo
what it
plane.
was like.
Yeah, that would make sense. That would make
They
sense.
call
Yeah,
them transfer boxes.
Yeah, then
JD Squirrel said they're called them transfer boxes. Okay, because I had asked, and I'm like, so he said, rest assured, it's not their final resting place. Once they get back, there's an involved process that transfers the fallen to their final coffin. So I had never seen it that way,
once
as
once
metal.
they
So it was
once
interesting to me.
once they get into the possession of their families
Mm,
and they go to their local funeral parlors, things like that, that's
mm,
when the bodies or the remains are transferred into whatever their final
yeah.
coffin is.
But
If they're
but
going to be
going
cremated.
internationally, evidently they go in this metal case. But
Yeah,
going,
Yeah,
that would make sense. That would
yeah,
make sense.
going
yeah, they're basically. It's sad to say they're basically cargo,
Yeah.
it
and
is.
so
That's why
they
they're falling in the cargo ship. But
right,
I
and they
guess
put them in.
Delta has a special place in the plane for them. That's why they're called hero flights. They actually
Sure.
have a special place for, I don't know if it's
Sure.
only soldiers. It's probably not only soldiers. I know that people are flown,
Well,
back and forth all the time. But
thank you for doing that research there, Nikki.
it was
Appreciate it.
very interesting to me. I've always been. I hate how MAGA has said they're patriots. You're not patriots. I'm sorry. It bothers me with every sense of my being. You're not patriots because that man doesn't stand for any veteran. He doesn't support veterans. He doesn't protect veterans. These three people that died overseas, they were veterans. They put their lives on the line, and they died for your ability to be in here and troll people. And you should be thanking God every day that people are willing to do that. And the fact that you guys call yourselves patriots, I think, is just disgusting.
Well said, Nikki. Thank you, friend. Appreciate
That's
it.
I love you. I love you,
Thank you,
Rusty.
buddy. Thank you, buddy.
I can't wait to hear what your dumb joke is today. Love you. Bye.
Thank you. Bye. She's already, well, dude, she just put you on blast. So you've got to deliver. No pressure, though.
Oh dear God.
No, it is.
Well,
I mean, it is a beautiful ceremony, and I've only seen, like you said, I've never seen one. Although I was at an airport. Where the hell was I? I think I was like in Chicago, and we were all told to stand to the side as they escorted a family through the airport. That's the closest I've ever come. But I think
when
it's something that we should be cherishing our veterans and those that have served, as opposed to mocking them.
absolutely when my father passed, and he had been retired for several years, and he passed in 2001. The funeral home contacted a local Marine Corps color guard, and if I remember correctly, most of them were either retired or reservists,
Hmm.
and a chunk of their duty is they volunteer to be the color guard to bury former Marines,
Wow.
and yeah, and so it was my father taught me the art of the practical joke. And I always thought that his greatest practical joke against me was to get me in Florida in August in a swamp wearing black while I had to bury him. It's like, that's your last joke.
Damn,
Because it
that's a
sucked.
gets a good
But
one. Dad going out with a
then I said,
bang
oh
for
yeah.
sure.
Well, but then I saw the color guard, and those guys were sweating bullets in their wool dress blues.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm not going to complain. I'm fine. I'm good. But it it was a very somber ceremony, and watching these guys, escort the casket from, the funeral home to the grave, and place the casket on, the straps that are going to be lowered, the whole 9 yards, and
Hmm.
this whole formal ceremony was really it kicks your ass.
Yeah,
It
and it
really does.
should, and it should.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
And it was tough. I mean, hell, even 23 years later, it still kind of hits me. So
You
but
you want to hang out for a minute? So I can bring up somebody else.
yeah, absolutely.
Okay, be on your best behavior. Kidding.
Uh,
CHK kid, chick kid. Sure. How are you
Chickadee.
tonight? Chickadee, chickadee. That makes sense. How are you tonight? Chickadee. How are you tonight? Chickadee.
Hello.
Hello, chickadee. Chickadee going once, twice, 3 times. A lady. 3 times a lady. Okay. We'll bring up life is good. Can't promise we get ops, but I'll do my best for you. Thank you, friends. Continue to like and share. Really appreciate you all. Happy Groundhog Day. Puxatawny Phil saw his shadow, which means spring comes early. Not for New England. We get spring. We have 9 months of winter and 3 months of bad sledding around here these days. That's what it seems like. I can't. My motorcycle is staring at me every time I walk out to my garage. It's like, hey, we going? I'm like, I know.
Oh no, it's been raining here in SoCal.
Oh, whatever, man. Whatever. Whatever.
Hey, my goal is to move to Oregon in the next 12 months, so I know I'm going to get back to winter.
That'll help.
Yeah.
D Roach, how are you this evening?
How you doing, sir?
Good, D Roach. How are you tonight?
Living the dream, my friend.
Awesome. What's on your mind?
So what I would like to say is that I feel like everybody in the United States is wrapped up in some kind of chaotic understanding of what the world really is. And I would like you to explain to me how either the left or the right is right, and how the difference in all of us just wants the world to be better.
That's a huge question. So
It is.
I don't think it's a question of simple as a right or wrong. All we can deal with is what's right in front of us. So are you a voter?
I am a voter, and I'll be honest with you, I don't vote your way, but I don't vote as
It's not
much
my
as I
way. It's not
should.
my way. It's
Well,
not my
I'm
way.
sorry. I'm sorry.
Okay. I'm just asking if you're a voter,
So
right?
I vote to the right, and the reason
Okay.
that I do is the freedom of expression on how people would want to vote. But I love everybody, bro. Like
Okay.
legit.
So did you vote for Trump in 2020?
So I voted for Trump,
Okay.
but I also voted for Obama. So I'm the
Really? I struggle
reality.
with that. Can you explain to me how you went from voting for a black man to voting for a racist? Can you explain that to me?
I would love to, man.
Okay.
So what I vote for is the reality of hope, right? So we all know Obama wanted to drive us all to the hope that we would be better together. And
Okay.
the policies between America, the Mideast, Russia, China, it is all twisted up in this reality, and I feel like we fight against each other on a
We go back.
realm.
I want to go back a little bit because I want you to see if I can
Please
try to
do,
understand.
please do.
I want to understand because the question I asked you was, how did you go from voting for a black man to voting for a racist? That's what I'm trying to understand.
So I didn't think of Obama as a black man, and I
Okay,
didn't
he
think of Trump.
is.
Let me explain it, right? I didn't think of Trump as a racist. So let me explain. I felt like Trump, right? I don't care of him as the person, right? I care of him of his actions just as well as I did Obama. I didn't judge them as a black, white, or anything in between. When I look at the United States and how we need to move forward, I look at it as a business, right? We all pay taxes. We need to support each other. I wholeheartedly believe that we need to take care of each other, right? If you're an able-bodied individual, you should take care of the old, you should take care of the handicapped, you should take care of anything in between. When I look at
Okay,
Trump,
disabled, not handicapped, but fair
I
enough.
do apologize. I'm not great at that. I love
Okay,
everybody. I love everybody the same. I don't
okay,
care who you are. I have a love for humanity and I want to help everybody
okay,
genuinely.
okay.
So, in
But you
that,
voted for Trump, man. But you voted for
I
Trump.
voted for Trump in
Okay.
the context of that I believe on an economic policy that if the money is retained by all of the individuals that work the hardest in the world to try to take care of each other, that we should be able to take care of each other without having to worry about what's going on in all these other different countries. And I would love for you to prove me wrong. I see all these chats eating me
Okay.
up. I want to help
Well,
and prove me wrong, bro. I don't want to be the bad guy.
it's not about proving you wrong. So the reason I asked the question the way that I did, D. Roach, is because because I hear this a lot, and I'm not calling you dishonest, but I have a hard time believing anybody when they say they went from voting for Barack Obama to voting for Donald Trump. Okay, I'll take you at your word. All right, we can unpack that a little bit. Um, there's a couple things that you said about how you it was. I'm trying to navigate here. I wasn't exactly clear, so correct me if I'm wrong about what you stated. You said you believe in giving people their freedom of expression and their ability to think for themselves and the ability to be individuals. Is that a fair assessment of what you said?
Unbelievably, yes.
Okay, so that's the question that I have then, because um, the Republican Party in America today, with Donald Trump being the leader of that party, is doing the exact opposite of what you want. They are literally telling people what to do with their lives, telling women what they can do and can't do with their bodies, wanting to eliminate the LGBTQIA community, ignoring the rights of the BIPOC community, violating voting rights, violating civil rights everywhere we turn. Does that trouble you at all?
It absolutely does, my friend.
Okay.
I don't want any type of government
Okay.
that tells anybody in this reality to live their life in a certain way. What I want is for everybody to live their life exactly the way that they want to.
Rusty, you have a question?
Well, a couple of things. One of the things that you said a moment ago, D. Roach, that I've heard before, which is run the country like a business.
Mm.
And I hear that from a lot of people who voted for Trump saying, well, he's a businessman and I want the country to run like a business. The primary goal of business is to make a profit. We should never set the goal of the country to make a profit. In fact, it should be a money-losing situation. We either break even or lose money. The post office, as an example, by law cannot show a profit.
That's
When
right.
they establish the pricing for stamps, they base it on an estimate for what it's going to cost, in the coming years, and it should be a zero sum at the end. So we don't want government making a profit, but what has happened is the military industrial complex and these various and sundry other companies that operate with the government are showing record profits because half of them, a lot of them, I can't say half, but a lot of them get no bid contracts. They don't even have to bid. They just tell the government, this is what we're going to charge you, and you have no choice. Same with pharmaceuticals. We couldn't negotiate with pharmaceutical companies for Medicare rather. So if we're running the government like a business, it's a shitty business. We should run it.
Right.
Yeah, we should run it to where the we're not looking at profit, but we're looking at how do we spend our money intelligently. And I completely agree with you that it should be for the betterment of everyone in society. But when Republicans have been standing on their soapbox since Reagan and talking trickle down, and it doesn't work. It's been disproven over and over and over and over again. And then Trump comes in and blows up our deficit by giving more money to the rich, by cutting their taxes, and giving the middle class a pittance that's going to expire next year, and that's done. That's not helping everybody.
That's right.
That's only helping the wealthy. And is you are absolutely right. Everybody should have the freedom to live the way they want, to speak the way they want, and to do what they want as long as it's not a crime. And the Republicans are the first ones to step up and go, no, we can't have that. We don't want that. If it doesn't meet, my Jesus requirements, we're going to make it illegal. And that's you sound like you want to become a liberal.
Yeah,
I'm
that's
going
where
to
I
be
was.
honest
That's
with
where I
you.
was going to, D. Roach. I mean, I
I
guess.
want to be honest with you guys.
Please speak. Please
I'm a
speak.
liberal libertarian, right?
Most, yeah,
I
sure.
am.
Well,
I'm in between. I want everybody to survive.
My favorite definition of libertarian was Republicans who like to smoke dope and get laid.
So
sure.
it's an in between, right?
Yeah.
So,
I
so,
I
so, D.
ju-
Roach.
I
Here's
ju-
the challenge, D. Roach. Right. This is the, and thank you for that, Rusty. That was a great breakdown. The challenge, I guess, what you have to ask yourself is what kind of society that you want. Right. So when I have conversations with people, and first of all, thank you for being calm and patient and having some impulse control.
Absolutely.
Um, you have to ask yourself what kind of society you want. Like, do you believe? Let me ask you this. I'll ask you some specific questions. Do you believe in a woman's right to bodily autonomy?
Absolutely,
Okay. So then women control their own health decisions.
undoubtedly,
Great. Do you believe that members of the LGBTQA community should be recognized for who they are and their rights to be who they are protected under the law?
undoubtedly,
Okay. Do you believe that we should be taxing the rich?
absolutely.
Okay. So you're more of a liberal than a libertarian.
I would agree with that.
Okay. So do you regret your vote for Donald Trump?
So, and that's where it becomes hard for me.
Okay.
So, if we go so far left, right, and I think about the European Union, they're taxed at about 60% and they're locked into whatever they want to, whatever that government wants to do, right?
What do they get for it, though?
So, if you want to look at the math, right,
No, but
they,
what do they get for that? I don't think it's 60%, by the way. I think it's quite a bit lower than that. But what do they get for it?
I would like you to look at that sometime when we're not on
Sure.
this conversation.
Sure. They get health care, man.
They do get health care, but
Yeah. That's
I think
huge.
what pushed me to the other side
Okay.
is that I have friends that are from all over the world. I work for a private equity firm, and they work in Canada, they work in Europe.
Hey, by the way, stop buying up all the single family houses, private equity firm guy.
I would
I'm
agree
kidding.
with that,
I'm
but
okay. I'm just kidding.
hey, like legit, I'm a low totem pole kind of private equity guy. Okay.
I didn't mean to steer you off. My apologies. Go back
No,
to what you were saying.
it's all good. So, like in Canada, I had a friend that told me that they would be stretched off onto the side that they would be to assisted suicide because they couldn't get the help that they needed. That happened in Canada and Europe. And I don't want that. I think that there's enough abundance in the life and in the world that nobody should have to go to assisted suicide before
Yeah,
they got help.
let's be careful with some of those words. They can be
I'm sorry.
TikTok. It's okay. You didn't know. So I want to go back to the question though. So do you regret your vote for Trump?
To be honest with you, I don't know which vote I regret. Like I honestly, I don't know, and I
Okay.
don't think anybody legitimately can put everything side by side and decide. I think the European Union
I
has a
can.
better idea,
I can do that.
yeah, go ahead. I just think that if you look at Europe, right, they have all the different parties. I think one
I
of
want to
the
kind of I want to sort of stay on our topic here. So again, I want to
go
try,
ahead. I'm sorry.
I really want to make I'm asking you, do you regret your vote for Trump specifically?
So if I think of it in the context of the divisiveness that created in our lives for that time period, absolutely. But if I think of it in the context of that I want an America first policy to help the people in America, I don't. So it's a 50-50.
Okay. So let's unpack that a little bit. So do you know the history of the term America First?
If I think of the past, no. But if I think of what it means to me, yes. But
Rusty,
please tell me what you think.
you want to
Or
tell him or you want
Rusty.
me to do it?
Yeah, America First was a dog whistle from the Triple K. And they, in the, I want to say the 1920s.
You guys keep going. I'll be right back.
Sure. In the 1920s, when they were a much stronger political group, and you may have seen photos of them marching in Washington, and there's thousands of these guys in robes, and their banners would say "America First,"
Yeah.
and it it was a dog whistle in that not only did they say they wanted to support United States interests first, but very specific Americans, and everybody else was not qualified. And so it was their idea of what they wanted America to be, which was white Anglo-Saxon Protestants. And so that term, while I understand that, yeah, we want to support our country, we want our country to be at the top. We do. But the vision of the right when they say America First, and the vision of the left, we don't use that term, but when we say, no, we support America, we want America to be strong, we want America to be the best it can possibly be, but it's for all of us. And we recognize the fact that we're part of the world stage, we're part of the world community. A lot of people, when they say things like America First, they want to build a literal or metaphorical barrier between us and every other country in the world, which no, we just can't do that anymore. We're part of a global community. We're part of a global economy. We all have to interact with each other. And, standing on a soapbox and pumping your fist and going, rah, rah, America first is sadly the purview of the right, who think they own things like patriotism. and the flag and what it is to be American. I will never forget. I got you know the comedian Jeff Foxworthy.
Yep.
Yeah, I will never listen to Jeff Foxworthy again, and it was because of a comment that he made on an old Glenn Beck show when Glenn Beck was still on CNN, and he was and it was just a simple softball interview with this comedian, and he mentioned what real America was. And he's a good old Southern guy, and he was talking about the South. Well, that's real America. Well, I live in Southern California. Go fuck yourself, Jeff Foxworthy. I'm in real America too. We're all part of it. And he was implying that because he works in Hollywood, oh, that's not the real America. Hey, that's where your checks come from, man. Number one. Number two, we're all in this together. Much like you were saying, D. Roach, we're all in this together. Why should we want to break it apart and say, well, this is real America and this is not real America?
Yeah,
Well, America first for white Christian guys.
That's right. And there's another little layer to it there too, D. Roach, about it goes back even further than the Triple K. It goes back to the early 19th, 20th century. We're talking about nationalism. So nationalism is dangerous, and because ultra nationalism turns into fascism really quickly. So to Rusty's point, D. Roach, are you seeing?
I'm sorry, bro.
It's okay. It's okay. I get it. Nature calls.
You can mute me, bro. I'm
Anyway,
sorry.
Hey, as a
it's okay.
dude with
I
a
was
60-year
laughing.
old bladder, I get it.
It's okay. It's all good. So again, the America First thing, and this is why, and I'm glad you're listening. Again, I appreciate it. And again, Rusty, thank you for that breakdown. It's dangerous because, to Rusty's point, there's so many layers connected to our history and world history when you prioritize one particular type of person over others. And America First because of the Triple K connection, America First because of the ultra nationalist connection. It also has roots in Yahtzee Germany. So not the America First, but the nation first mindset. You can be exceptional. We can all be Americans, but we have to understand that America involves everybody, not just people who look like me and you and Rusty, but women and BIPOC and minorities and everybody. Bring us your tired, your poor, your huddled masses yearning to be free, or whatever the quote is on the Statue of Liberty. That's the point. So again, the question I ask you is, we're in an election year, okay? 2024. Your choices are going to be Joe Biden and Donald Trump. Who are you going to vote for? You can unmute, brother. D-Roach, you can unmute. There you go. So, again, the question, 2024, November, you go to the voting booth. Who are you going to vote for?
I'll be honest with you. I don't know. I mean, like, legit, I want the entire world to be together. I don't care if you're Somalian, Russian, Chinese, Korean. I'm so fatigued of the whole decisiveness. It drives me crazy. Like, legit, I'm a good soul, and I want the world to be together. I am so tired of big corporate entities, military industrial complexes. I'm tired of the decisiveness between countries.
Yeah, so when I hear, here's my fear for you, bro. Here's my fear. What we know about Donald Trump, we've seen it. We know exactly who he is. We know what he thinks of people who are not white. We know what he thinks of women. We know what he thinks of the poor. We know what he thinks of BIPOC communities, any marginalized communities. We know what his doctrine is for the next 4 years if he becomes president again. We know that he's a fascist. We know that he's a racist, xenophobe. We know all these things. You should know that too. So that's my concern for you, because when I asked you that question, you said you're not sure who you're going to vote for. He sexually abused a woman and defamed her. He obstructed justice and withheld national defense information. Where's the line, bro? Where is the line for you?
I'll be honest
If
with
if
you.
I,
I
if I
feel
may
defeated.
just
I feel defeated because I
well,
feel like there's not a line of real. And I don't want to say anything bad about Biden because I genuinely don't believe that he's a bad person. And I really don't believe Trump's a bad person. I don't know you guys do.
oh yeah.
Yeah.
Let
That's
me ask you.
okay.
Let me ask you a question, D. Roach. Let me ask you a question, if you don't mind. How old are you?
39.
Okay. The reason I asked, as a much younger man, I was much more idealistic, and I hear some of my old idealism in what you're saying. I would love to live in the Star Trek socialist utopia that I grew up on. But what I discovered as I got older was you can't have mass victories in
You
heading
okay?
toward a goal like that. It's fighting step by step by step, and you keep the goal in mind, you keep the idealism in your head, but you have to accept the fact that you may not live long enough to see it. You and it's one of the primary differences between conservatives, liberals, Republicans, Democrats. The things I want now to happen within our government and our country may never benefit me, may not even benefit my kid, but may benefit the next generation after them. It's betterment for all of us that we have to accept we may not live long enough to see it. And that's okay. And certainly when I was 18, 20, 30, 39, it's like, no, I want to see it. I want it in front of me. I want to live long enough to see all the Star Wars movies. But I may not. And yet I still want a clear path for the betterment of not only American culture, but world culture and people in general. And I accept my mortality, and I accept the fact that, if something happens 30 years down the road, I'm not going to be here. I'll be pushing up daisies. But I want it to happen. I want it to benefit those later. And I'm willing to get in and do the work now, even if it doesn't benefit me today, that helps them down the road. I challenge any conservative to say the same thing. They don't. They want their money and they want it now. They want their tax return and they want it now. They want George Carlin put it best when he said liberals are about people and conservatives are about property. And it doesn't necessarily mean that being about property is wrong, but when it's property over people, that's when it becomes wrong. And so yeah, I can sit back and say, here are the things I find morally reprehensible about Republicans, conservatives, and Trump. And never mind policy. Never mind policy. I don't care if I got no taxes for the rest of my life and everything was economically wonderful under Trump. He's a morally reprehensible person. And if I'm getting these benefits because I'm a middle-aged white guy and the other people around me are not getting those benefits because they're women or they're in the BIPOC community or they're LGBTQ, no, that's wrong and that's not fair. And it's a very clear line between which side supports everybody and which side supports white dudes and rich people.
That's
Hey,
right.
It's a
so
it's a
Uncle
clear line.
Russ,
Mm-hmm.
and the guy that is fact still, right?
Mm-hmm.
I would love to have just a conversation between us three because I would love to hear your guys' perspective, right? I want to do what is right to make the world a better place. Like legit. I'll follow both you guys, but I would really like to have just a conversation, us three, and talk about the world from my perspective. I'm a white guy,
You know,
right?
we're having that conversation now.
We're having that
I know, but
conversation.
we're having it on a world platform.
So
But
what?
I would really like to have a one-on-one conversation with you three, with you two, right? And I'm good to have this conversation right now, but my wife and kids are kind of pushing me to
I got you.
join them,
I got
right?
you. You
So,
should. And you should.
but
And you
I
should.
would, and the reason that I would love to have that conversation is not because I feel like I'm right. I would like to hear that perspective.
Yeah.
From my perspective, right? I'm a white guy. I was homeless at 14. I had a rough life and I've struggled and I've done everything that I could to help every single person that I've ever come across, right? I I would like to explain that in detail to you. I
Fair.
don't want to do it on this platform, but I
Fair.
would love to talk to you guys, like legit. And
Well, I'll
and I
definitely
could
follow
be
you back.
wrong, and I'm not arrogant enough to think that I'm so smart or so beyond being able to be taught something else, right? I just want the world to be better, bro.
You just said
Like,
something really important. You're not above learning new things.
absolutely not.
And that's the most important thing to take with you for your entire life. I am I know that no matter how old and mean and crotchety I get, I will still be open to learning new things. But I do know that the older I get, the more discerning I become with, you got to prove it. But I'm willing to let that proof happen. And, Fax and I have talked about this ad nauseum where, especially when we're talking to MAGAs and you offer them proof and they just, close their eyes and stick their fingers in their ears and go, la, 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 it's not real.
No,
And the mere fact that you're willing to learn, keep that with you the rest of your life. It's the most important thing above, I think, everything else in sociology, politics, it doesn't matter. The willingness to continue to learn is what will continue to make you a better person, a better dad, a better husband, says the divorce guy. And
Says the other divorce guy.
yeah, there we go. So, but it if I could just repeat the thing I said a moment ago, baby steps.
Baby steps.
That's the other part. Keep learning, and just take baby steps. And it sucks. I hate taking baby steps. Oh, thank you. I hate taking baby steps. I'd rather be the guy to jump into the fire first and see what happens.
So D Roach, why don't we do this? I think I just followed you. I think I'm assuming Rusty probably did as well. So feel free to message us so we can figure this out because I want to take you at your word that you want to learn, and I really appreciate that. I would just ask you to think about your kids, right? Think about your kids, think about your wife, think about because your vote matters. But if you want to have those conversations in earnest and sincerely, then I'm down, man. Then I'm down, man.
Me too.
I appreciate that, guys.
You got it.
Hope
Absolutely.
you have the best day, best life.
Thanks,
Wish the
man.
best for you.
Thank you very much. Have a good night.
You
Yeah,
have a
you
good night,
too.
man.
Take care. Bye.
Thanks. There you
That's
go.
how it should be. That's how it should be.
Yep.
Even though he's still on the fence about a lot, and that's okay. I have some conservative ideology, not a lot.
You?
Well, I mean, what is conserve? To save,
Yeah.
to gather in and hold. Yes, there are some things I do. I'm a supporter of the Second Amendment. I'm also a supporter of the two words well regulated.
Me too.
Yeah. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm one of those wacky liberals who's armed. I mean, just within reach. What have I got here? Great big Chinese saber.
Of course you do. Of course you do.
You know.
So I want to remind folks that are watching because the reason that, and Rusty knows this, we talked about this, and Anthony and I've talked about it as well. That's why we do this. That's the whole reason that we do this. And you'll notice that we've had a variety of conversations this evening, and I match the energy of the people that come in here. That's what I my training, my debate training growing up, and all those kinds of things. You match the energy of the person, or you shadow. That's kind of the term that they use, right? But so for those of you who want to have a legitimate conversation, the onus is on you. It's not on us. If you want to come in and say, I have some questions about this and I don't understand, or I do not like Joe Biden's policies and this is why. And if you can do it in a controlled and an impulse controlled manner, allowing a conversation to progress organically, then that's how we move the needle. That's how we move the needle.
Yeah, if D. Roach had been totally in the MAGA camp, but kept the same level in his conversation and presented his points and defended his positions with that same level, we could have still had a conversation.
Totally. You've seen me do it.
Absolutely. And I wouldn't have gotten foaming at the mouth.
I know.
And it's just when it's, just anger and denial. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I mean, D Roach, we're going to hold you to it, dude. If you want to have that conversation, I won't speak for Rusty, but I'm totally willing to have that conversation with you. So we can find that out. Cool. Hey, Tom, thank you for your patience, brother.
Hey, buddy, here. Sorry, last week I requested up here. You brought me up, and just as you brought me up, because I waited for like an hour and 20 minutes, and just as you brought me up, I got a stupid call at work. And then you muted me and dropped me. I was like, son of a bitch, I waited for an hour and 20 minutes.
I'm sorry, man. I try. I do my best. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I saw that you were, because that day we had those immigration attorneys up on here that we were interviewing here, and I saw Rocco was on here, and I know how Rocco is sometimes, and like even after I told them all the stuff that I've heard from them here, it's like they still don't want to believe in these facts. And then I saw you up in the comments here. I was like, yes. I'm like, what's funny here is these Republicans here, especially MAGA, are on top of the mountain screaming that they want the border issue fixed here, but yet they don't want to pass Joe Biden's $14 billion package that he has that would actually do something similar to that here.
Let's correct that, Tyler. It's not Joe Biden's. It's bipartisan.
Correct.
It's absolutely bipartisan.
That's correct.
Yeah, but why don't they want to pass a bipartisan bill that would actually get election judges to be able to process them here to determine if they're...
It's everybody but Republicans in the House.
Yep.
Republicans in the Senate, Democrats in the Senate, Democrats in the House have all said, yeah, let's sign this. So there's one roadblock. It's the Republicans in the House.
And the Republicans in the House tend to be much more beholden to orange weasel teats than the Senate.
Correct.
And yeah, and he has made it very clear. He wants the economy to fail. He wants the country to go completely in the shitter, and he wants immigration to explode because that gives him talking points for his election.
Correct. That's correct.
And he's not about the country. He's not about making it better. He's about himself. And that's why, yeah, we've got a bipartisan bill. And Biden, I saw something earlier today. Biden's kind of calling him out, saying, I'm ready to sign this. Are you guys ready?
And just as a reminder for people who don't know, that legislation is some of the most conservative legislation that we've ever had that would help with the border. And for Joe Biden and Senate Democrats to say, yeah, we'll do this because we want to do something. Because again, yes, there's funding for Ukraine in it. Yes, there's funding for Israel in it, but that's how bills get passed. You don't get big spending bills like that are single item. You just don't. For people who think you're going to get it, stop. It's just not going to happen. It's not how government works. But again, it's even the Republicans in the Senate. James Lankford, okay? One of the most conservative members of the Republican caucus in the Senate is a co-sponsor of some of that legislation. That should tell you all you need to know.
And it's like, it's like, to me, it's like some of my friends here, because some of my friends are a little bit more left than I am here, and they're kind of disappointed that Biden wanted to go on that bipartisan bill, but it's not here or there. and stuff. I just wish we could just do something more better here and stuff because this country was built off immigrants and slaves here and stuff like that. I don't know why these MAGA people are afraid of brown people.
Well, because they are, because they're easy to scapegoat. That's the reason.
Well, and
They're easy to
in the
scapegoat.
spirit of fairness, absolutely. In the spirit of fairness, Tyler, it's one of my big complaints about the left and especially the far left is the exact same thing I was mentioning to D Roach earlier. Fucking baby steps.
That's right.
You march forward one step at a time, and unfortunately, a lot of people on the left, we want our cookie, we want it now,
Right.
and no, you've got to be willing to again say, I may not get to the end of this race. I want it for my kids, my grandkids. I want it to be better. And again, as a nearly 60-year-old man, I'm finally starting to see this and figure it out. And sure, young bucks that are all piss and vinegar want it now. And
what
I get that.
fail to realize is that our government was designed on compromise. It was built that way intentionally. It was designed for people to bicker to try to find a solution, meaning that I'm not going to win, you're not going to win, we're going to win for the country because we're going to pass legislation, right?
It's the old saying,
Sometimes I am part of the left because it's like I'm still working on how to compromise here, meeting somebody in the middle here, and at least I'm willing to listen to other people's ideas and be open minded.
Exactly. I want to call it a comment. Loco Engineer 9 says, host puts up a meme asking if we think for ourselves has a confirmation bias echo chamber panel. Loco, you can request. If you think that this is a confirmation bias echo chamber, then please come in and challenge that thinking.
Pop up. Yeah,
so
I'm willing to listen to conservatives. I grew up in the South before I moved to California. I understand the.
Uh-oh. What happened? Ruh-roh. There.
Okay.
That was weird.
Do I have an echo?
I just got a harassment warning flag. I think I'm going to shut things down so I don't lose the live access. That's the second one I've gotten in like the last 5 minutes. So somebody's mass reporting me. So I'm gonna call out for the night, guys. I want to thank everybody for this great conversation. It's been a really productive evening. We know how things work. I apologize for not having. Thanks, Rusty. I apologize for not having the gift feature turned off. I wanted to do that in support and solidarity with our BIPOC creators who have their content suppressed regularly. So we will go hashtag CoinCot again come Monday when I go live again. So again, Tyler, sorry so short, bro, but I don't want to lose the live access. So thank you, everybody. Have a great night. Be well, guys.